I better not piss you off because you look like you would kick my ass.
I have the ability to.
But to be fair, I think everyone could kick Brian's ass in that room, including the old guy right here. Let's do this, guys.
I am Brian Shapiro from the show Pushing the Limits, and my first prompt today is why I say Donald Trump is morally bankrupt. All right, thanks for coming. Obviously, I believe Donald Trump is morally bankrupt. Before I get into that, I want to get your take. What do you think about that? Do you agree with me that Trump is a morally bankrupt man?
Well, what's that mean?
Well, it means that, we have 30 women that have accused him for sexual assault. When you're a 34 count felon, when your own ex-wife says that he raped her and then he pays her off to keep her mouth shut. This is a guy that is a swindler, whether we talk about Trump University or, there's a number of different issues. We could talk about when Robert Mueller dies and he says, I'm happy he's dead. The comments he made about John McCain, for example. I know I'm throwing a lot at you and I probably have about 200 different things that I could mention. But the man has no moral compass.
Yeah, see, look, we're not even 3 minutes in, and I think already there's a few bingo cards filled up already. He's already brought up the 34 count felon. He's already brought up a whole bunch of stuff. All the typical things that Brian always brings up already. Again, not even 3 minutes in. See what I mean? And by the way, that doesn't even answer what morally bankrupt is. So he has a lot of accusers. How does that make him morally bankrupt? Because Brian has accusers. So does that make him morally bankrupt?
Only cares about himself. And I really don't know how anybody out there, especially the evangelical right, can support this man when you look at his actions. And yes, he is a liable sexual abuser, whether people want to admit that or not. He was found liable for sexually abusing E. Jean Carroll. He's cheated on every single woman he's ever been with, including his current wife, or contractual wife, I'd like to call her, Melania Trump, with Stormy Daniels. I mean, you're aware of that, right? He raw-dogged Stormy Daniels literally 2 weeks after Barron was born. I'm sorry if I'm being graphic, but I am.
That's a new thing that he likes to bring up now. He raw-dogged Stormy Daniels. Like, he has to be so graphic about it. He raw-dogged her. He finished on her face.
That is a morally bankrupt man who only cares about himself, and I don't know how anybody could defend that. You can try.
Well, if this is what you believe, you got that information from some.
That's a good question. Is this guy just some dude they found off the street? Like, they needed one more person, and they're like, you get over here. Just get over here.
Somewhere.
What do you mean believe with respect? Is he not a liable sexual abuser? Yes or no?
I don't believe so.
Okay, but what did a court say? What did a jury say? Let's forget about your beliefs for a moment and my beliefs. The question is Donald Trump a liable sexual abuser? If I asked you if O.J. Simpson, well, he's dead now, but if O.J. Simpson was a double murderer, you could say, I believe he probably committed those crimes, but a jury found him innocent. So my question is Donald Trump a liable sexual abuser?
I don't believe so.
Okay, but
I don't.
But I'm not asking you whether. I understand you don't believe E. Jean Carroll.
I don't believe the court and the trials, as all my friends here will probably concur, were setups. That those weren't real trials.
What about the 30 women that have accused him of sexual assault? Are they all lying as well, including his ex-wife in court documents and a deposition?
I would need to see that.
You would need to see that. So how can you argue whether he's morally...
These are narratives in the news.
No, they're not narratives in the news. When you're found liable in a court of law, that's not a narrative. That's actually what happened. When Donald Trump says, I'm grabbing women by the... That's not a narrative, sir, with all due respect. He said that. I've been in locker rooms my whole life. I was a Division I college athlete. I've never heard somebody talk like that about grabbing women by the... That's not a narrative. It's not a narrative, okay? When a jury finds in a...
Yeah, but you're in tennis, Brian. You're in tennis. I'm pretty sure, none of the men talk like that. They probably talk about like grabbing dudes by the schlongs. Thank you very much, proctologist, for the $5. I'll tell you why. Yeah, I'll tell you why.
Courtroom that they literally find him liable for abuse. The judge in the case characterized it as... I'm sorry, what was your name again?
Taylor.
I wonder how that ended. They just cut that one off. By the way, is this Hunter Biden over here?
Nice to meet you, Taylor. All right, Taylor. I believe Donald Trump is a morally bankrupt man. Why would you disagree?
I mean, like, why?
Okay, well,
I love look at how everybody's laughing. Why are you all laughing? I don't get it. All right, I believe he's a morally bankrupt man. What's wrong with you people? That's why you guys are all a bunch of MAGA mushroom gobblers. That's why. This is serious.
let me ask you a simple question about January 6th. If Donald Trump doesn't lie about the 2020 election, because we all know, and it's not even up for discussion, quite frankly, he did not win the 2020 election. There's no evidence of widespread voter fraud. If Donald Trump didn't lie about that, does January 6th happen? Yes or no?
Possibly. I mean, he literally
Possibly?
told them to leave.
Possibly. Okay, so let's go with that for a moment.
He
So
told
you're
them to
hold
leave,
on,
though.
hold on.
Didn't he tell them to leave?
Hold on.
Did he not tell them to leave? Yes or no? Yes
At
or no?
4
Yes or
hours.
no?
Let me
Yes or
answer
no?
your question.
Yes or no,
Don't.
But
You
yes or
got.
no?
You got to let me answer your
Yes or
question.
no?
I'm going to answer
You asked
it.
me a yes or no question.
Okay.
I'm gonna ask you it back. Yes or no?
4 hours after it
So
had
yes.
started.
So yes.
4 hours after
So
it
can you just
started.
say yes?
4 hours after
Bro,
it started.
Like quit.
4
quit the LARP,
hours
okay? Quit the
after
LARP.
it started.
Yes or no?
If you saw a man and a woman, and then 4 hours after you said, "Didn't you tell him to stop?" That's a
Are you
ridiculous thing
referring
you're
to Trump
saying.
here and women?
Let me
Are
explain.
you referring to Trump? And
You're
women?
telling me.
But
Hold on, let's talk about January 6th. Hold on. Let's start with January 6th. You're telling me that if Donald Trump did what every other president did in American history.
Yeah, why isn't appropriate answer to anything Brian says? Yeah, exactly. Why? Because Brian says these things as if they're already true. Like, it's like these are just already facts. It's not just Brian is interpreting, or it's a narrative Brian's pushing, or things that are taking out of context. He just pushes is that if it's fact, or that if it's already decided these things are morally wrong because the book of Brian says so. And so I actually agree. I think asking Brian why would actually be a pretty good debate. Just like, why? Well, why is it bad? But why this? Why does that make him morally bankrupt? But why is that so?
History and conceded like every other president. You're telling me January 6th still happens? I know you have that smirk on your face because you look ridiculous. Okay.
So January 6th, there you go. There's another one. Everyone's bingo cards, I'm sure, is already filled up in 6 minutes into it. But with January 6th, he keeps saying this thing like, oh, if he didn't lie about the election, first of all, he's assuming that Trump lied. So there's that. He's already assuming that it was a lie and not just, oh, Trump is just wrong or something. He just assumes that Trump's lying about it. But also, too, that's speculating. Like, we don't know. Like, we don't know what would have happened, whether he said this or not. Like, again, it's not like Trump told us this and we just went along with it. He saw the same things we were seeing, all these weird shenanigans that were going on, these really shady things. And so it's more that he agreed with us that something seems shady here. So it's honestly questionable. We don't know if it would have happened or not if Donald Trump didn't say anything about the election being rigged. We don't know. Thank you very much. Third, JRH for the $1.99. Man, I wish I could have gone there. Yeah, I know, right? Thank you very much. Third.
Tell me right now, look at me right now, and tell me right now in front of the cameras that January 6th still happens if Donald Trump concedes.
I don't think somebody that's ginger should be calling me ridiculous.
Just answer the question. Answer the question.
Number two, though.
Answer the question.
Number two. It's
What do you mean number two? You got to take a
possibly
shit?
wouldn't
Answer the
happen,
question.
actually. It
Answer the
actually probably
question.
wouldn't happen. But you brought up Trump.
Why won't you answer that question?
You brought up
Answer my question,
women.
dude. I'll answer yours, but you got to answer mine.
I said possibly.
Okay. So you're saying, okay, that's a very logical opinion. So if Donald Trump concedes and does what every other president does, you still think that people try to overthrow the outcome of a free and fair election. What do you think about police?
Well, like, what is it? Like, what difference does it make? Like, he goes on and he'll say, like, Hillary Clinton conceded, right? But then she still continued to say that, she lost because of Russian interference. And then people around that time thought that, oh, yeah, Hillary lost because of Russian interference. It didn't really make a difference whether she conceded or not. This whole thing, like, I don't know. It's so weird that they act like conceding an election is a be-all, end-all. Like, oh, if the president doesn't concede an election, it's horrible, it's terrible, and that's what led to January 6th and all these awful things. If he just would have conceded, then everything would have been fine. And it's like, I don't think it would have mattered, to be honest. Like, we don't know. We don't know if January 6th would have happened or not if he had just been like, yeah, right, I lost.
Officers that were beaten on January 6th, would you call them hostages and patriots?
Would you call police officers BLM?
Don't answer a question.
BLM,
Don't
right?
answer a
Oh, wait. What about David Dorn?
I'll answer BLM. Hold on.
The police officer,
Hold
the black
sir.
police officer
Okay.
that was shot and
This
killed.
is a microcosm of what Trump supporters do. I'm
Really?
happy to answer any question about
Generalizing
BLM,
now, huh?
and I promise you I'll answer your question. But you are going to answer my question first, okay?
Am I?
And if you're not going to
Oh
answer
my
it, then
God.
take a seat and let somebody
Guys.
else come up there.
Are you going to force
Do
me to
you
answer?
think that if
You're
you
gonna
beat a
force me.
cop,
You're going to force
this
me?
isn't going to go well for you if you don't answer any of my questions?
Oh, really?
Do you think that
A
if
beer
you
belly
beat
is
a
gonna go
cop, okay, you can attack me on my physical appearance. That's fine.
You attacked me
okay?
on my physical, and I'm just pointing out the obvious.
No, your smile. I didn't attack you on your physical appearance.
That smile
you
is
were
physical. Are you like
smirking.
retarded?
So answer my question.
Dude, I love these like young and upcoming like Republicans, man. Like they're the way they give it to Bryant is pretty hilarious.
Okay, answer my question. Otherwise, we'll go to somebody else. Are
None
you
of
a
them are raising.
hostage?
Wow, they love the people.
Are you
love
a
me, unlike you,
hostage?
actually.
Okay, I bet they do. Are you a hostage? Now, I don't think it's funny.
Am I a hostage? No, I'm not in
Okay.
Israel.
Why
Or
are you
Gaza. No,
laughing?
I don't.
Okay.
I'm not a hostage. Actually.
We could either have a serious
You
conversation or we
asked me
can't.
if I was a hostage.
Okay, you're
Is
not.
that a dumb question?
No.
I know you're not a dumb
I'm
guy.
repeating the question
Okay.
again
Am
so
I a
you can
hostage?
understand it. Okay.
I can see that.
Okay. If you beat a cop on January 6th,
Are
and
you
we
a
do know that
patriot?
there were some people that did do that,
Are you a patriot? Get ready to mark that off the bingo card.
and they were convicted, are you a hostage and a patriot? And then I'll get to your Black Lives Matter question. Okay.
Well, I think that we should go case by case, and some people that did that, sure, they
Okay.
should deserve jail time.
Okay, I agree. So,
In any case.
but I didn't ask you if they deserve jail time. Obviously, we agree on that. If it's a Black Lives Matter protest and somebody beats a cop, of course, I want them held to the highest extent of the law. Would you characterize someone who beat a cop on January 6th as a
patriot.
hostage or a patriot? I'm asking you, like, this is like the 8th time, and you're not answering. No. So you disagree with Donald Trump. So
I don't
would
have
we-
to agree with him on everything.
Okay, great. So
Unlike you
okay,
just follow whatever
so-
Kamala, the Democratic Party says.
I don't know what you're talking about.
You mean you?
What do
Oh, I wonder. Okay, I wonder if this is where we're going to get. I'm a registered independent. I didn't vote for Obama, and I didn't vote for Hillary. I don't know what you're talking about. Let's see if that's where he goes.
time, and you're not answering.
Let's see if we could out-shap the shap.
No. So you disagree with Donald Trump. So
I don't
would
have
we-
to agree with him on everything.
Okay, great. So
Unlike you
okay,
just follow whatever
so-
Kamala, the Democratic Party says.
I don't know what you're talking about.
You mean you
What do
talked
you,
about?
wait, hold on a second. Do you realize that I put out a video last week that went viral?
I don't follow you,
Okay,
sir. I don't
good.
have Facebook.
Clearly,
I
you
know.
don't follow politics
My
either.
bad.
But let me just
Yeah,
explain
okay,
to you
but
what I did.
You literally sat here and
You
ranted
think
to him
I'm a
about.
cultist.
You sat here. You ranted to him about Donald Trump's experiences.
That's what the prompt is. That's what we're talking
women.
about.
Why don't we talk about that?
We're talking about being morally bankrupt. I
Yes.
just asked
So
you
what
about
about-
January
what about
6th.
how- what about
Connect
with-
the dots.
What about with the women,
bro?
What about with the women? I know you don't want to.
What
get into
about
that.
with women? Ask
What did
me
he do?
specifically?
What did Donald Trump do?
He was found liable for sexual abuse. Okay, that was proven. He's had 30 allegations from women that I believe that are credible, including his
He believes that they're credible.
ex-wife in court documents in a deposition. He's the guy that's named over 40,000 times in the Epstein files, who Donald Trump and Epstein said were best friends. Let me ask you a question since you want to talk about women. I'm glad you brought that up. Can you give me
Lion Brian, good to see you here, Lion Brian. Thank you very much for the $4.99. I'm on Jubilee, but I'm not having a Jubilee right now. This guy is not responding to my loaded question the way I want him to. Yeah, exactly, Lion. I agree. You know, he's not going the way that you want it, and unfortunately, you can't pod him down. But thank you very much for the $4.99, brother.
one logical reason why Donald Trump has treated Ghislaine Maxwell like a VIP?
Oh,
Give
the
me
Club
one
Med,
reason.
the Club Med talking
He shouldn't
point.
have. And also,
He shouldn't have.
I mean, while we're on
Morally
the subject,
bankrupt.
While we're
Thank
on
you.
the subject
Thank
of
you.
women, I mean, those teeth look pretty nice. Who'd you extort? You're
Wait, what? What?
VIP? Give me one reason.
He shouldn't have. And also,
He shouldn't have.
I mean, while we're on
Morally
the subject,
bankrupt.
While we're
Thank
on
you.
the subject
Thank
of
you.
women, I mean, those teeth look pretty nice. Who'd you extort? Your ex-wife?
Are you a serious person?
What about the order of protection?
Are you
I mean,
not
I
a
know you
serious
know a lot
person?
about the
All right,
civil-
all right. You're obviously not a serious person.
I
Get him out of here.
know.
You're
Why
not
don't
a
we talk
serious
about
person.
your court documents
You're not a
with
serious
your
person.
ex-girlfriend.
You're not a
With
serious
your
person.
ex-girlfriend. The
Who's
court
my-
documents with your ex-girlfriend.
What ex-girlfriend are you
The
referring
order of
to?
protection that you filed against her?
Wasn't an
For
ex-girlfriend.
For actually going
No.
after your Medicaid
Wasn't an
fraud?
ex-girlfriend.
You asked her for $1,000.
Wasn't an
Okay,
ex-girlfriend.
Who was
Okay,
it then? Who
okay.
was it then?
I'm happy to
Tell me-
answer that,
then
even though
answer
you're
the
not a
question. Then
serious
answer the
person.
question.
Sure. So, in the last 2 years of my life, I've had people who have threatened my life.
Same.
The person that you are referring to, okay, is somebody that sent me death threats. It was never somebody, let me finish. It was never somebody that I dated. It was never an ex-girlfriend. This person threatened me, threatened my family, was obsessed with me. So because of that, There are no public court documents. Do you know why?
But she gave you money.
Okay. Yeah. Do you know why? Do you know anything about this situation?
Well, I mean, I saw the text messages.
Yeah, yeah. Those
Cursing
aren't
at a woman.
those
Cursing
aren't
at a woman is not morally okay.
Those aren't court
I don't think
documents.
You're the person talking
Okay,
about morally.
you
talking
are
to
bringing up something that you know absolutely nothing about. The reason why I had to file
something that you
I'm
can't
trying
actually
to
prove beyond
I'm
a reasonable
trying
doubt
to-
that Donald Trump is a sexual abuser.
Okay, so now you're going back to Trump. I'm
Beyond a
trying to
reasonable
hold on a
doubt.
second. You brought up something about my
holding.
personal life, okay? And you don't know what you're talking about. The
You have
reason
no
why
idea what you're
the
talking
reason
about
why I
for
had to
another
file
person's personal life.
No,
So that's why I'm here sitting here defending them.
Excuse me. I was never found liable for anything in a court of law. I have never been
But you
in
know
a
the
court of
burden of
law.
proof.
Okay, but I'm answering
In a
your
civil
question.
case, a burden
I'm
of proof in a
answering your
civil-
question about a restraining order that I had to file against
civil
somebody,
case, right?
and apparently you think this is funny. What do you mean civil case? I didn't civilly file a lawsuit against anybody. Do you know the difference between a civil case and what I did, which was file a restraining order
I'm glad
against
you brought
somebody?
that up. I'm actually glad you brought that
What
up.
you just said is a complete lie.
Really?
It's factually inaccurate. And if you can find me any court
Hold on, guys. I got to fix my freaking AirPods real quick.
case, any court case and any court document of me breaking any laws or doing anything, please go ahead and let me know. You're not a serious person. You don't know what you're talking about. You're here just to smirk and laugh and make jokes. So get the fuck out of here and let somebody else come up
you're
here.
saying
I'm not talking to this guy anymore. Get the fuck out of here.
okay.
Yeah. Get the fuck out of here. What's up, man?
See, the whole thing is that, like, listen, here's the thing. This is why people bring that up against Brian, is that Brian goes and talks about all of the allegations against Donald Trump and accusations, but he acts as if they're fact. Like, he just acts like they're the truth, and he brings that up while he's talking about his, while he's listing off all of his talking points, right? Okay, but when it's done to him, which, again, is showing the hypocrisy here, you know, Brian's allowed to show hypocrisies, right? That's why he brings up Rachel, the 3 baby daddies. Like, that's why he brings up Rachel, because he's trying to show, oh, but look, the hypocrisy. You're going around telling people this. Meanwhile, Brian is doing the exact same thing, but he's actually being a hypocrite, because Brian also has allegations against him. But however, it's like, if we go around saying these allegations as if they're truth, Brian's like, you have no idea what you're talking about, and you have no idea what you're saying about this case. You don't even know what's going on. But it's the same thing with Brian. Brian doesn't know what the hell is going on. Can he name every single accusation against Donald Trump or what they were for? What are the specifics? What are each allegation for? Brian's not going to be able to tell you. He can't even tell you what the 34 counts are that he was found guilty of. So that's the hypocrisy that Brian displays, and that he goes around talking about him like it's fact. He calls Donald Trump like a PDF file. He does it willy-nilly, like pretty much saying Donald Trump has diddled children. But Brian has no proof of that either. But yet he says it like it's fact. Hey, good to see you, Rachel. He's talking massive shit and going on a full meltdown rant about me on Sarah's panel. Oh my gosh, no. Oh man, I want to watch that. All right, well, there was that. That was a nice little peeking in, see what's going on in the Raging Tomato. I'll probably, like I said, I'll probably review that tomorrow. That's great. Thanks for thanks for letting me know about that, Rachel. That guy never misses the opportunity to rant and rave about the Wilsons. Thank you very much. Third for the $4.99. Hey Brian, the reason you vote for Hillary is clearly because she's a woman. You don't like women. What do you think about that? Answer the question. Yeah, exactly. Thank you very much. Third, and thank you very much, FB, for the $9.99. I mean, I would like to know the other side of the story. Since Lion Brian is a despicable and immoral human being, I think it's fair to assume he did something equally nasty to her. Yeah, I mean, we've seen this this guy's behavior time and time again with like different women, even different men, how he goes and he harasses people in their DMs and their text messages and stuff. So it's not like, oh, Brian, you know, I don't see him being the type of guy to do that. Like, no, it's been demonstrated that that's what he does. You know, he done that to Rachel. He did that to Samantha Hernandez. He did that to Rob. He's done that to Andrew. He's even sent Jim Bob a harassing message. I think Jake, he sent some messages. This guy, Michael Knowles, he sent harassing messages. Like, this guy can't help himself. He's just a harasser. But thank you very much, FB. So it's not like it's out of the realm of possibility. Thank you very much, Third, for the $1.99. Bro is so insecure, it's hilarious. It really is. Thank you very much, Third. Wait a minute. He just admitted that he did the debate for money. Yeah, it's funny. That's another thing. This is why I'm saying, like, this guy is so hypocritical. Like, he can't, you have to make a conscious effort to be this hypocritical. He goes around calling everybody grifters on the right. They're right-wing grifters. But this guy just admits that he grifted. Like, this guy just admits that he only does it for the money. It's ridiculous. All right, let's do this.
So,
I'm sorry, what's your name?
Nate.
Nate, nice to meet
So
you.
look, I won't make excuses for a lot of what Trump says. You know, he says a lot of things that probably a lot of people disagree with, and he's a very polarizing president. But my question is he a good president, right? Is he a moral president, and does he preside with morality? And I think that number one, the Make America Healthy Again movement, just recently they just reduced 35% of the foods now have been reduced and gotten rid of the toxic dyes in the food, which is going to help to improve the health of the next generation. Veterans, for example, more veterans have themselves than all of the Afghanistan wars. It's a big problem. So Trump is now also addressing.
Can I just ask you?
Yeah.
So I do believe that there are some policies where you could say, okay, those policies are helping people. But I also believe two things could be right at the same time. You could agree with some policies that you think are helping the American people, but you could also be a morally bankrupt guy, right? For example, and you tell me if you did.
So it's like, no matter what, Trump is just a morally bankrupt guy. It doesn't matter if he actually has policies that helps people or what have you. It's just, he's just morally bankrupt. He's just a bad dude. I know what's in his heart. I've actually heard people say that, where it's like, I know what's in his heart. I know what he feels. And it's like, oh, okay. Well, no. Bunch of mind readers. I forgot we're dealing with empaths, right?
Disagree with this or not. In regards to the war in Iran, right? 175 school children are killed. The first thing he does is blame Iran. And by the way, I don't defend Iran or the Iran government, right? He knew that Tomahawk, or maybe he didn't, which is unbelievably ignorant, but we own Tomahawk missiles, and there are a few other countries in the world that do. What's the first thing he does? He says Iran did it. To this day, he hasn't apologized for that, right? I'm not saying that the Trump administration intentionally tried to kill 175 school children. I don't think they tried to do that on purpose. But when you know you did it, take responsibility for it. And I think that's morally bankrupt.
What president ever takes responsibility? I don't think I've ever seen a president take responsibility, ever. Not Trump, not Biden, not Obama, not Clinton, not George W. Bush. Like, what president has taken responsibility, like, in our lifetimes anyway? Like, I haven't seen it. No president takes responsibility. Did Joe Biden take responsibility with the Afghanistan withdrawal that flopped terribly? People were stranded there. People were during that too. Did he take responsibility for that? No. Did he take responsibility when the gas prices went up? No. No president takes responsibility. No one. When Obama was sending drones and bombing these other countries, did he take responsibility? No, he didn't. No president takes responsibility. None.
Innocent
Is there
people,
evidence that they did that?
they've already.
I think they've made it.
Members of the Trump administration have said it was a mistake, but Pete Hegseth has never been on the record yet apologizing or saying it was their fault.
By the way, thank you very much, Ken, for the Canadian 5. If he knows he is a low-hanging fruit, why accept the debate in the first place? No amount of money would mend his wounded ego. He lost that badly. Yeah, he got destroyed. Career-ending debate. He can't even identify as a debater anymore. That's how bad he lost. But it's true. It's like if you can't debate feminism, then why did you take the debate? Like, did you really need the money that badly? Were you that desperate for money that you took the debate? And even if it were the case that, yes, I just did it for the money, then why are you taking it so personally when people are making fun of you for it? Like, if I took a debate because I wanted the money, but I knew that I didn't know anything about the subject, I knew that I was probably going to lose and lose badly. If when it happened and if people are making fun of me, I'd be like, well, yeah, I just did it for the money. I don't know anything about that. Like, I'm not really a debater, but Brian is so butthurt and still coping to this day that we all know that that's not what it is. But thank you very much, Ken. And thank you very much, FB, for the 1999. I agree that the modern day debate audience was rooting against Brian, but that's true on almost every show he goes on, including Piers Morgan. Brian doesn't seem to realize he's usually the guy the audience wants to see lose. Yeah, he's the heel in the story usually. But thank you very much, FB, for the 1999, brother. I appreciate it. Hey, we got little Tyrone Wilson. Good old Tyrone Wilson. How you doing? Brian's theme song. Does your fruits hang low? Do they wobble to and fro? Can you tie them in a knot? Can you tie them in a bow? That's funny. Good to see Tyrone in here.
Donald Trump has not done that either. I think when you're the president of the United States, it's your responsibility to do that. Yes, we can get into the personal stuff, and I understand what you're saying. Yeah, I'm sure there's some policies that you like that could be helping people. I get that. But I just feel like on a world stage, it's very important to own and take responsibility for mistakes that were made, whether you agree or disagree with.
What about Hillary? Hillary is still coping over the election. She hasn't taken any responsibility. Like, again, who's taking responsibility, Brian? Like, who's taking responsibility in politics?
The war in Iran. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Again, if it turns out that it was indeed our fault, then he probably
it was, though. That's my point.
I just didn't look into it, so I don't
understand.
Know
what do you think about the war, by the way? Do you think it's morally the right thing to do?
I don't necessarily. I'm not 100% for it, but if it were the case that Iran was close to developing a nuclear weapon, I don't think it's a risk anybody should be taking.
I mean, I believe that whether you agree or disagree with the president and you're a Republican or a Democrat, having nicknames for people that you disagree with, days after, I think it was the day after Robert Mueller died, he goes on social media, he says, I'm glad he's dead.
Again,
I mean, imagine if Joe Biden or Obama said something like that.
I'm not going to try to defend what he said, his tweets.
Do you think he's a moral man?
I think he presides with presidency with morality. And I think,
but it's like, see, the thing is, these libs, they'll try to judge Donald Trump by his morality, but none of them are moral. And when you point out, like, okay, if saying people, you're glad people are dead is a morally bad thing to do, well, you do it. Brian called Charlie Kirk a piece of shit. Like, he called Charlie Kirk a piece of shit. Well, is that a moral thing to do? Brian will just then move the goalpost and be like, well, I'm not the president. Doesn't matter. You're making a moral judgment. You're not just talking about the president here. Like, you're making a moral judgment on him as a person. Aren't you not a person? Aren't we all people? No one's above the law. No one's above morality. So, I mean, if he's a bad person because he said this about Robert Mueller, then what are you then? Are you an even worse person? Because you actually called him a piece of shit, Charlie Kirk. Donald Trump didn't even call him a piece of shit. You called Charlie Kirk a piece of shit.
That really what matters is his policies and the outcomes for the American people. If we have safer cities, safer streets, healthier children, more better healthcare for our veterans,
we're going to talk about policy. I'm happy to do that with you.
Yeah.
But
that's just really the angle that I want to take.
I understand. So what's your threshold? What does Donald Trump have to do for you to say, man, he's morally bankrupt? I can't support this guy anymore. What does he have to do? Does he have to be on video molesting a child for you to say, geez, I can't support him anymore? This is a guy who literally is protecting literally as we speak. Look at Ghislaine Maxwell and look at the way the administration is treating her like a VIP. Even after 5 months ago with her attorney, she said, I'm not giving up any names unless you give me a full pardon. That's what she said. Did Donald Trump put her back into that prison? No. I asked the last guy the same question. I'll ask you the same question. Can you give me one logical reason why Maxwell's still in a Club Med facility right now?
Yeah, she's got leverage, and she's probably one of the last living people that has information.
So he's probably protecting people, if not himself. Is that a fair characterization?
Or he's trying to get information.
If he was trying to get information, she just said she would not give up names unless she gets a full pardon. Now, maybe you could have used that reasoning a year ago, but you can't use it now. So what is the reason why she's still in a Club Med facility?
Oh, like they say, you attract more bees with honey, right, than vinegar. So I just think that there's probably a strategy. She was very heavily involved. And I think that
what would the strategy be if she already said she's not speaking unless she gets a full pardon?
People changed their mind.
So you think the biggest sex trafficker, arguably in American history, is allowed guests and people to come in there? She's allowed to use the internet and work out whenever she wants to. You can't be okay with that.
No, I'm definitely not okay with that.
Holy cow. No wonder that guy made a mention of Brian's beer belly. It's just nothing but noodle and then bloop.
I don't know the circumstances of her confinement. If that's the case.
Well, the circumstances have gone up publicly because Democrats have investigated this and they've released that. And that's where I'm getting that information from. And, it's not like out of thin air. I understand you might like some of his policies. I would disagree with you on that. And we can get into that a little bit later in the next prompt. But my point is that he's just a really awful human being. And I think if you're a chaotic man who's lived a chaotic life, you're probably going to be a chaotic president. And I think that's what we're seeing right now. And I don't.
Chaotic man who lived a chaotic life? What? Can you explain that, Brian? How is he a chaotic man that lived a chaotic life? I don't think a chaotic man living a chaotic life That would be like Hunter Biden, who's sitting right behind Brian over there. That would be Hunter Biden, not Donald Trump. You wouldn't be able to have the success Trump has if you're a chaotic man living a chaotic life. This is just TDS nonsense.
I don't think the man has any morals at all. I think the only person he cares about is himself. He doesn't care about everyday Americans. If he did, he wouldn't have given tax breaks to the top 1%.
Didn't he lose money during his first presidency? Didn't
No.
he become less rich?
Do you know that Donald Trump has made more money in the presidency than every single president combined? Every single president combined. He's made more
Well,
money.
his family's running the Trump brand.
He and his family have made more money off the presidency than all the presidents combined. You could look that up. You look at the crypto scandal that this guy has made billions of dollars for him and his family. We can talk about that. We could talk about the Trump Bibles. We could talk about the Trump paraphernalia. So listen, we can talk about selling Bibles. I don't know if anybody here is a religious person. The guy has Bibles sold in China for $1. He's selling Bibles for $60 a pop. He's made $1.3 million off of the Bibles. What about all the people who bought the Trump phones? Now, eventually they might get the phones, but boy, we're not getting a lot of information on that. He made $60 million off of that. That's what I mean by morally bankrupt. Yeah, he doesn't take his $400,000 a year salary.
Wait, what? He said on Sarah's podcast that he has Senator Biden coming on his show. Oh, no. And I bet you he's going to glaze Hunter Biden. Hunter, I just want to say that it's very courageous of you that you've been sober all these years. You've been helping people also get sober. It's very good of you. Listen, I know you had a shady past, but you know what? I think it's very heroic of you. And I admire you, to be quite frankly. And I admire your father, too. Which, listen, if Hunter Biden's sober, that's a good thing. I'm not saying it's bad or anything. But again, it's just the glazing from Brian. Whenever he's like, I talk to Democrats and Republicans, I'm not biased. But then it's like whenever he has a Democrat on, he's gonna glaze them. And then whenever he has a Republican on, he's gonna just go after them and attack them.
So you can gold plate the White House. But when you've made billions of dollars and Jared Kushner makes $2.1 billion from this.
By the way, how rich is Joe Biden? Joe Biden's been a career politician his whole life. Joe Biden, politicians don't make that much. Like, yeah, they make better than average, but they're not enough to become millionaires. Isn't Joe Biden a millionaire? Wait, was he just really good at saving his money? How did Joe Biden make his money? How do a lot of these Democrats and all these politicians make their money, Brian, on a politician's salary? Like, how is that possible? And Donald Trump went in rich, and he lost money during his first presidency. And meanwhile, all these politicians, they get into office and they come out richer. How is that possible on a government government politician's salary?
Saudis. To me, that's a morally bankrupt president of the United States. And even if I might like or dislike some of his policies, I do believe that the man has no morals.
Did he make money because of the presidency?
Yeah, exactly. Bernie Sanders never had a job and he's got millions. Yeah, exactly. The dude has like 2 homes. How did he get rich, Brian?
Or despite
Absolutely.
the presidency?
Bankrupt president of the United States. And even if I might like or dislike some of his policies, I do believe that the man has no morals.
Did he make money because of the presidency or despite
Absolutely.
the presidency?
Because of the presidency.
Do you have evidence on that, on the correlation?
So yeah, do you think he would have made billions of dollars off
because of the presidency? Do you think he would have made billions of dollars if he wasn't president? Let me think about that, Brian. Yeah. Considering he was already a billionaire when he became president, yeah, I think it would have been just fine. He probably actually would have been richer had he not become president. You remember when what case did Trump had to settle and he had to pay like these billions of dollars they wanted him to pay? I forgot what it was, but it was when he was president. I don't know if it was the government, the files. I forgot what it was. But whatever case, he had to pay like a shit of money.
This crypto deal, if he wasn't president, do you think he would have been selling Bibles and he would have made that money off of Bibles, or he would have sold the Trump shoes or the Trump hats, Make America Great Again, or whatever?
I think he would have.
When you're a businessman,
before he was president, he sold Trump steaks. Yeah, I think he would have sold those things even if he never did become president.
If he wasn't president, do you think he would have been selling Bibles and he would have made that money off of Bibles, or he would have sold the Trump shoes or the Trump hats, Make America Great Again, or whatever?
When you're a businessman, you find ways to make money.
He wasn't selling any of that stuff before he ran for president.
You would have been doing something else.
I disagree with you.
That's just speculation.
Okay. Thank you.
I disagree with you. That's all Brian has. You just, well, I disagree with you. Well, of course you disagree because you hate Trump. Of course you disagree. But Brian, again, Donald Trump had like Trump steaks before he became president. He had all this Trump stuff. He would license out his name to like casinos or hotels or what have you, and he would make money that way. Like, yes, this dude would sell a lot of stuff, even if he wasn't president.
Thanks.
Yep.
I mean, he sold NFTs when in between presidencies, when he wasn't president, he sold NFTs and made a lot of money that way. The dude, if he could make money off of it, he's going to try to make money off of it. How do you think the dude became rich?
All right, Joe, nice to meet you. Obviously, I think Donald Trump is a morally bankrupt man and a terrible human being. Where am I wrong?
Well, I would say that it's hard to judge a person completely by their public persona all the time because we don't know what he's going through as a person, as a president. I can't sit here and honestly, coming on to this debate, 10 Republicans versus a liberal is more of like, let's talk about the Republic.
Wait, Bennett, he got that money back. That was the money that he was sending to people caught up in J6 before DOJ put a stop to it because the Republicans raised a stink. No, there was something else though. Like I remember he was ordered and it's like he has to, like I remember at the time reading, it's like, oh, Donald Trump made this payment of like, I don't know if it was for like hundreds of millions of dollars. It's like a money. I mean, you might be right, Bandit. I just could have sworn it was something else.
Policy.
You think I'm a liberal?
Well, that's the way it's here.
No. That's I like how he said it with a smile on his face. All that's what he knows. He should have winked at the camera. You think I'm a liberal? Ding. He said the thing.
And honestly, coming on to this debate,
well, also the name of this debate is one liberal versus 10 MAGA Republicans.
Public persona all the time because we don't know what he's going through as a person, as a president. I can't sit here and honestly, coming on to this debate, 10 Republicans versus a liberal is more of like, let's talk about the Republican policy.
You think I'm a liberal?
Well, that's the way it's set is like, hey, this Jubilee, 10 Republicans versus liberal. I think that's why we're all here.
Anti-Trump.
Right. And so I think to be able to
anti-Trump registered independent versus 10 mega mushroom gobblers. Get it right, bucko. Oh, I'm turning into my girlfriend, Sarah. Pauly Shortcuts, thank you very much for the $1.99. Let's make Vic some more money. More money than tomato dumb stream with Shapiro. Yeah, I agree. Let's make more money than the dumb tomato stream. I agree, Pauly Shortcuts. That's a good idea. Thank you very much for the $1.99.
Come here and see the prompts like a day before and be like, it's all like bad mouthing our POTUS. I'm going to try to do this in a respectful litigation way. So it's hard for me as a person to say that, yes, one person is totally morally bankrupt because I don't know him personally. I see what he's trying to do as president. I see that he's done good things.
You need to know somebody personally to make a judgment and say that's a bad person.
Personally, yes.
You have to know. So was Jeffrey Dahmer a good person? You didn't know him personally?
Oh, what? That's Jeffrey Dahmer, dude. That guy was a serial killer. That's God. I'm going to say that. I'm going to be like, I think Brian Shapiro is a morally bankrupt person. And if someone's like, well, you don't know Brian personally, be like, did you have to know Jeffrey Dahmer personally to know? Case closed there, pal. God, Brian's an idiot. Thank you very much, Uncle Ruckus, for the 2. Brian is going to struggle when Trump is gone. He really is. Thank you very much. Hey, we got a raid. Who did we get a raid from? Daria raid. Oh, thank you very much, AVG. I appreciate it. AVG. Yeah, I appreciate the raid. Thank you very much. AVG raid.
I didn't know him personally.
No.
Did he come to Christ at the end? I don't know. I have no idea. So it's not my position.
Okay, but hold on.
A person.
See, I would have said, are you really comparing Donald Trump to Jeffrey Dahmer, you idiot? That's what I would have said. See, this guy, I think this guy's doing good, but right there, he could have answered that better. I'd have just been like, are you really comparing Donald Trump to Jeffrey Dahmer? You're comparing Donald Trump to a man who dudes and ate them. He was a literal cannibal. And you try to do weird shit like make zombies and fuck crazy serial killer. You're comparing Donald Trump to Jeffrey Dahmer, you retard.
is morally. I'm judging them on their job.
Okay, so I judge people on human beings, how they've lived their life.
How do you know how they live their life?
Yeah.
Well, we
Because
don't know who
Jeffrey
they
Dahmer
are.
was a convicted murderer.
Okay, fair enough.
Why
By-
can't you can't say
Oh, okay. Is Donald Trump a convicted murderer? Oh, he's not? Then shut the up.
I'm judging them on their job.
Okay, so I judge people on human beings, how they've lived their life.
How do you know how they live their life?
Well,
if you
because
don't know who
Jeffrey
they
Dahmer
are?
was a convicted murderer.
Okay, fair enough.
Why
By-
can't you can't say Jeffrey Dahmer was a bad guy?
I'm not saying he wasn't a bad guy. He killed
Morally
people.
bankrupt. He's a murderer, right?
Okay, so
Bad dude.
morally, you want me to say morally bankrupt,
Sure.
and this is kind of like you want me to put this in this box. But what I'm trying to say is that as a person to another person,
Mhm.
it's hard for anybody to say I know 100% this person is a morally bankrupt, evil person. That's all
Okay,
I'm saying.
so let's go issue by issue, and you could tell me whether you think it's a morally horrific, I don't know, thing to do. Again, I want to go back because it's in the news because it happened several months ago. Robert Mueller dies. He's a Purple Heart recipient. Never been convicted.
Badmouthed him on Twitter, saying that he was happy that he died.
Yeah.
It's not.
It's a
nice
horrible thing to say, right?
This guy's already like you. I already know what you're going to say. By the way, see, it's funny because Brian has the same talking points. All these guys are in the same room listening, so they could already hear what he's going to say and already think of like a counter to it.
Rob Reiner.
Did he kill him though?
No, I never said that.
Because if he killed him,
I never
that
said
would
that.
be evil.
There's a difference
He said a bad
between-
thing on Twitter.
Yeah. Pretty horrible, right?
Tactless. I would say
Robert
it was
Reiner.
not a classy joke.
I think it's a horrible. Rob Reiner. Well, he wasn't joking. He said, "I'm glad he's dead." I don't think that's a joke.
Well, he jokes
You don't think that's a joke?
very roughly and badly. I'm not saying that he makes great.
Rob
statements.
Reiner and his wife were brutally murdered, I would assume, by their son. And then the next day, instead of saying nothing or saying, "Hey, thoughts and prayers for the,"
Would Rob Reiner, if Donald Trump would have been murdered by his son, would Rob Reiner have said, "Hey, listen, thoughts and prayers"? No, Rob Reiner would have celebrated. But let's say that doesn't even matter. Let's say that doesn't even matter, Brian. Didn't you call Charlie Kirk a piece of shit? See, this is what's irritating about Brian. Like, he'll sit there and be like, Donald Trump is a morally bankrupt man. Again, judging him as a person, not even just as the president, but as a person. But Brian Shapiro has said worse about people. Again, I don't remember Donald Trump saying Rob Reiner was a piece of shit or Robert Mueller was a piece of shit.
family. He mocks Rob Reiner. Now, my personal opinion, and I'll talk about Charlie Kirk today too. I called out everybody on the left who
Why'd you call him a
celebrated
piece of
his
shit,
death.
Brian?
Now, I didn't celebrate
Why'd
his
you call him a
life
piece of shit?
because I don't think Charlie Kirk was a good guy, but I would never celebrate his death. What happened to him was awful, terrible. I know people, friends that were 30 feet away.
He was my boss.
And I'm sorry for your loss. It's horrible, okay? And I got emotional on the air because I was on the air when it happened.
Oh, fake tears.
Anybody who
That reminds
celebrates
me.
somebody,
That reminds me, I gotta look up his show after Charlie Kirk died and see what he had to say and review that, because I want to see if he pulls out the crocodile tears like he did against Rachel.
dying or being, I think it's wrong. I think it's repugnant. It's terrible. Why is it okay for the president of the United States to do that? I'm not saying you're saying it's okay, but Rob Reiner was brutally. And what does Donald Trump do? He goes on Twitter the next day and he starts making horrible remarks about the Reiner family. Now, I've talked to a lot of MAGA Republicans that say that was wrong, but we're not talking about a podcaster. We're not talking about somebody at the water cooler in a conversation. That would be bad enough. We're talking about the president of the United States who's supposed to show leadership, and he's celebrating and making jokes about people dying. In this case, Rob Reiner. Joe, I just think it's disgusting.
Yeah, definitely not a class act move. I personally actually knew Rob Reiner. Personally, he actually was very nice to my family. He got us tickets to U2 at the Sphere. So it was a very personal thing.
And you're friends with the guy? You were still friends with that guy?
Hear that. And I think what happens is Rob Reiner's been a proponent against the conservative cause and against Trump. And so Trump finds a moment to, hey, he's dead. Thank goodness. Let's poke a little knife at
that's
him. And so is
morally-
it classy? No. Did he kill Rob Reiner? No. So it's a different opinion on those cases specifically.
If a Democrat did that, I would be saying the exact same thing. I would call out
wouldn't have.
anybody on the left. Let's just say,
See, Brian says that, but like he doesn't go after the left the same way as he does the right. Like he'll say like, "Oh, I disavow that," or "You know what? I disagree with that." but then he'll point out about how the right was worse about it or whatever. It never fails. Like he'll always go on and on about how bad the right is. And then if someone on the left does something, he'll say, well, that's horrible, I disavow. But then he'll go back on about how the right's awful.
Hypothetically speaking, James Woods is okay. I don't want that to happen. Or I don't know, Kevin Sorbo, Dean Cain, whatever. I'm just giving people on the right that are staunch Trump supporters, right? Let's just say they're brutally, and again, I don't want that to happen. Let's just say that happened under the Biden administration. And then the next day, Joe Biden goes on social media. Let's just say it's Dean Cain.
He doesn't know how to get on social media.
Well, that's not the point I'm making. The point I'm making is if a lefty, anybody, an elected official, high up, made a joke about a murder of one of these people, I would say the exact same thing. It's
well, what about the guy, who was it that put in the beach and the rocks, or he saw the rocks, what is it, 86 40 47, right? Or 87, what was it, the 86 47, I think, right? Who was that, who did that? What about him, Brian? Did you denounce that? What did he mean by that? Comey, yeah, James Comey. Yeah, James Comey's the one that did it. Yeah, what about that, Brian? Did you denounce that? Did you say that's awful? I can't believe Comey did that. Oh, that's coming up. Oh, okay. All right.
It's morally bankrupt. But listen, I'm not a huge Joe Biden defender, but the man has empathy for people. He wouldn't do that.
I mean, he can't do anything. He's sleeping the whole
empathy.
time.
Well, again,
he can't even walk up.
Have you been watching the news? Did you see Donald Trump?
Yeah, empathy. Did he say Joe Biden has empathy? The guy who checked his watch during a funeral,
fall asleep at the meetings last week, and then the excuse I got when his eyes are closed for 15 seconds is he was blinking. I mean,
there's a huge difference between Donald Trump and Joe Biden.
We can get into that, but Donald Trump is the guy that said you need voter ID to buy bread. Donald Trump is the guy who said Jeb Bush got us into the war in Iraq. Donald Trump is the guy that said I defeated Barack Obama in the elections. So they're both old people. Okay, they're both old.
Let's talk about the morality again. I actually thought that was interesting. You had a couple of the 2 points, and then you said your third point was.
Well, I have a lot of points that I could make on why I think he's okay. That's fair.
It was him saying stuff on Twitter, not classy.
What about what he said about John McCain?
Anybody.
He said you don't have to be morally bankrupt. You don't have to murder somebody to be morally bankrupt. Let's talk about John McCain. Donald Trump is a guy who dodged the military 5 times. Okay, and say what you want about John McCain, but he did serve this country honorably. Okay, Donald Trump said he didn't respect him because he was captured.
Again,
I'm not a fan.
Another tactless joke. It seems
so
like
it's just tactless jokes.
He's just not the best comedian, is what it sounds like. You kind of have the biggest problem with, is that he says things that he thinks are funny, and I really truly do believe that he thinks they are funny.
I'm glad you said that.
Are absolutely hilarious.
Okay, well, nothing I've said I think is
as
hilarious.
A stand-up, as people, anybody who knows done stand-up or anything, you know that you're going to take your chances with. Hey, so big swing here, big swing there.
Okay, Joe. So here's what I'd say to that. Donald Trump is not a guy performing at Laugh Factory tonight. He's the president of the United States. He's supposed to be the leader of the free world. Even if he thinks it's funny, which I think is repulsive, you're supposed to be a leader. There is nothing funny, and it's not, oh, he was just making a bad joke. No. When you laugh and make jokes about death, you are morally repugnant. When you're the president of the United States, you're not some guy making a couple $100 doing stand-up comedy somewhere. That would be bad enough.
Well, then apparently there's a lot of morally bankrupt comedians out there, because half of their
that's my whole point.
Is about death.
Joe, that's my whole point.
Look, my whole point is to say that Donald Trump is a person just like you and me. I'm not saying that everything he does is perfect, but he has one of the hardest jobs in the world as the president. And we don't know what it's like to be in that.
Not an excuse to make jokes about people dying. I make the same point I made before.
Than what we're
different
trying to
standards, different standards.
See, that guy's trying to talk some sense, and it's absolutely true. The thing is, like, with Donald Trump, like it's like I get like tired of everyone like, oh, he's supposed to talk like this. Like, we all knew who Donald Trump was. Donald Trump's not a politician. All these say that all the time. Oh yeah, well, he's not even a politician. He was a game show host. Blah blah blah. Well, okay. Well, then there you go. He wasn't a freaking politician. He always talked like that. Donald Trump has always been like that. We liked him because he was someone. He was like our voice against the powers that be, if you will. And we like the fact that he told all these politicians the truth and called them names. We like that. As the people, we like that. You would think Trump's like Brian Shapiro would like that too, but he's like, no, Trump bad. But no, but that's why we voted him in for. Why would he all of a sudden change because he's the president now? You know, like ideally, yes, a leader should talk a certain way, ideally, but I could argue Trump is a special case. Again, there's always exception to the rules. I think Trump is an exception. Again, we voted this guy in, a guy who's not a career politician, a guy who was talking in a way to the powers, the people that ran the machine, in a way that we all wanted to, like saying things that we all wanted to say, right? That he was our representative for that. We voted for him in for all of the things that he says. You may not agree with it. You might not think it's the most tasteful things to say or tasteful jokes to say, but that's what we voted him in. And quite honestly, we don't really care. Like, we don't care. The people who throw big fits over the things Donald Trump says I think are the biggest meanies. Like, I just do. It's like, no, I care about what he does. I don't care about what he says. I could give a shit less about what he says. I just want to see what he does. That's what I care about. Thank you very much, Joshy, for the $2. Chat wants to call him a mushroom gobbler so bad. Yeah, he really does. He's like fiending for it. He's like, I just want to call him a mushroom gobbler so badly. But good to see it, Joshy. Make sure everybody follows Joshy Stop.
It's for different people. You have a comedian that you might think a joke is inappropriate. I called out Pete Davidson today on the air. I thought the joke he made about Charlie Kirk was wrong. But here's the difference. Davidson's not the president of the United States. Donald Trump is the leader of the free world. The two don't equal each other. Comedian, leader of the free world.
That's why I think it's important what he says and what he does.
I think they're both important.
I agree.
Thank you. We agree on something. Thanks, Jim.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. All right. I can't say I'm a fan of your shirt. It's difficult to look at, but that's okay. All right. So obviously, I've made my cases why I believe Trump is morally bankrupt. Where am I wrong?
Yeah. So
yeah. So how about everything? Thank you very much, Ken, for the Canadian too. How much speak time Brian had in this video? Oh man, I don't know. That's a good question. How long is this? Like 2 hours and 36 minutes long? Probably like 2 hours and 30 minutes of talking time.
Look, here's the thing. So I don't think Trump's a saint. I think every single person will agree that. Probably even his own kids. But the premise that he's morally bankrupt means that he has, in my view, that means someone has no morals, right? And I would say that that's an extreme way to call him, because there's so many cases of people saying that Trump is such a generous person. Behind closed doors, he's helped people pay for cancer treatments. He's helped veterans with treatment.
Hold on, guys. My freaking earbuds are clicking. Give me a second. All right, let me test this.
He's paid for people's mortgages over the year. There's literally, like, if you were to Google it, there's thousands of people that have said that he was very generous to them, even people on the other side that don't like him. Bill Maher, for example, went to the White House. Bill Maher was very thankful.
Yeah, can I talk about that? Can we talk about Bill Maher?
Yeah, just let me finish
Sure.
that a little
Go
bit.
ahead.
I think Bill Maher is a mega mushroom gobbler. I used to respect Bill Maher, but once he went to dinner with the president, he's been a mega mushroom gobbler ever since.
Yep.
So Bill Maher has said this. A lot of Democratic people on the other side have said that he's very warm. He's very friendly in person. He's very charismatic. One last point. Amy Guthrie, are you familiar with, I'm sure most of you guys know, her mother went missing.
Yes.
Amy Guthrie is a known Democratic. Well, she's on that side. I would argue that Trump went above and beyond to get FBI, to get all the resources to help her out. If he truly was morally bankrupt, I don't think he would be helping anyone on the other side. I don't think he would have called her. There's a lot of cases of Trump calling people, checking on them when they're in the hospital, when they're dying of cancer. Representative Steve Scalise, for example, when he got shot, Trump checked on him. They said for months he would call every single day. So to make the argument that he's morally bankrupt, I think is not fair. Also, his kids, not only as a person, you can't just judge a person on them, also their kids as well, because they're a reflection. A lot of people have said really good things about Eric Trump, about Ivanka, all the charity they've done.
You
Trump,
mean the money they stole from their charities?
Trump has done a lot of charity.
Oh, okay.
There's a lot of people that have said many good things.
You're throwing
about
a
them.
lot at me. So let me
Let
me just
and you
and
threw
you
a
can
lot at the
continue.
first guy.
I
but-
did.
Yeah.
Let me okay, so let me just go through.
So I don't think someone.
Let me do the
I don't
best.
think someone can be morally bankrupt
Yeah.
and do all those great things that I hope you won't ignore or brush over because they
Yeah.
did happen.
So let me try to go through the list here because I tried to write down as much stuff as possible. Let's start with Bill Maher. First of all, Bill Maher had dinner with Donald Trump for 2.5 hours. Just because somebody treats somebody nice for 2.5 hours doesn't mean they have great morals.
Bill
I don't.
Gates
hold on.
had
Let me
dinner and
just
said
finish.
the same thing.
Let me just finish. I don't care what Bill Gates or Bill Maher
There's
says.
a lot of people.
Okay,
is
hold
my
on.
point.
Just because somebody treats you nice, I had a lot of people at AmFest that treated me nice.
yeah.
Does that mean I fell in love with everybody there?
Do
No.
you think they're morally
on.
bankrupt?
Hold
though?
on. Let me just finish. I'm just making the point to you that just because Bill Maher spends 2.5 hours with a guy, and by the way, these days I don't think Bill Maher has any credibility.
He was mad that
hold
Obama
on.
didn't
Let me
invite
just
him.
finish. Hold on. You got to let me finish.
You know?
I'm giving you my reason why.
Yeah.
He has Steve Fetterman on his show who can't put two sentences together, doesn't challenge him
Steve Fetterman? Who's Steve Fetterman? Is he thinking about John Fetterman?
on anything. He has Beetlejuice Lauren Boebert on his show.
Who are you talking
Doesn't-
about? Bill Maher?
Yeah, he has
Okay.
Boebert on his show.
Well, usually he's high
has-
on these
He-
shows.
but it doesn't matter. But the point I'm making is he has election deniers on his show and lunatics on the right and idiots like Fetterman. Yes, I do think.
Wait, what? So Bill Maher has people like, listen, I'm not a big fan of Bill Maher, but he's like Brian Shapiro in that he has people from the left and the right on his show. He has people from both sides on his show, which Brian brags about all the time. So wait a minute, Brian Shapiro, Bill Maher, he's a jerk now because he has people on the right now? Brian, you have people on the right on your show.
Fetterman's an idiot. He doesn't challenge them on anything anymore.
Be right back.
You know why he did that? You know why
he
said,
challenges
hey,
the Democrats
Trump
a lot.
treated me nice for 2.5 hours. You know why he did that?
Why? Who did
Ratings,
what?
clicks, to get more people on the right
Okay.
to come on his show. Now,
Do you know that for
now,
a fact, or is that just speculative?
well, why do you think he changed his tune a little bit, and why do you think he doesn't challenge MAGA Republicans like he used to?
but it's speculative, right?
Whoa,
We
wait a
could
second.
agree it's speculative.
Hold on. No, I
right?
don't. I disagree.
Right.
I like this guy. I think this guy's doing a good job.
Why?
But
So that's the Bill Maher thing. We can agree.
Brian, my issue is that there's hundreds of people on the
I will
opposite
get
side
to
of the
that.
aisle
I will get to
have
that.
given Trump credit for that.
Okay.
So listen, Bill Maher, I haven't seen him recently. I used to cover Bill Maher a lot, but I haven't covered him in a long time. But a little bit after the dinner, he still wasn't really a Donald Trump fan, but he was a little bit more like the TDS was a little toned down. And I've kind of seen some clips lately. And again, I'm not saying Bill Maher is some kind of right-wing conservative because he's not, but I think he's kind of like lessened in his TDS a little bit, just from the clips that I've seen.
So how can you
Give me
say that
one
how
prominent
How
Democrat.
can you honestly say that he's
Okay.
completely morally?
Well, I'm going
he's
through the
paid
list.
for thousands. Of
I already
people's
heard you say that.
surgeries.
Let me go through the list.
He's
it is-
employed tens of
Okay,
thousands of people, including migrants.
Again, including undocumented people. You probably don't
which
talk
he
about
did-
that.
Okay, but he helped
so hold
them.
on.
Oh God, undocumented. C. Stovall, thank you very much for the 2. Glass Shapiro is final form Karen, not one step back. Thank you very much, C. Stovall. I agree.
Hold on.
He used to be a Democrat.
Let me go through the list here. I mentioned Bill Maher, and I just think there's no credibility there.
Okay.
This is
That's
a guy.
just one guy of many.
I'm
Yeah.
just going through the list of the things you said to defend it.
Yeah.
You said he went to the FBI and went above and beyond to help the Guthrie family, right?
Yeah, he did.
He also has gone to the FBI and gone above and beyond to punish some of his political opponents. So if you're going to make the
What
argument,
about the previous?
hold on.
What about the previous
Hold,
DOJ?
hold on. We can talk about Joe.
DOJ put
Hold
him in
on.
court his whole
What
time
about
out of
what
office.
about this prompt is about Donald Trump. I'm happy to have a conversation with you
I'm
about
just
Joe
saying,
Biden.
be fair.
And I'm just saying,
be reasonable.
and I'm just being reasonable.
Be reasonable on
and
both
I'm
sides.
just being reasonable.
Both
Hold on.
sides use lawfare.
But this debate and this prompt is not about
But you
Democrats.
said,
It's
is
about
he,
Donald
is he
Trump.
morally bankrupt?
Hold on.
Morally bankrupt
you're-
means someone has no
you're
morals.
giving
It means
me-
they have zero morals.
You're giving me a list of
Can
why.
you make a claim? Can
you're-
you make a case that Trump has zero morals?
Well, I think I've already done that.
Or
but
is
I'll-
there a percentage
I'll
in him that
continue.
maybe there is morals
why?
there?
What would you say about somebody who protects?
What? I don't know. I mean,
don't
I don't
know?
think he's protecting.
Don't.
No, I don't.
Why is Maxwell in prison right now and in a Club Med
well,
facility?
she's in prison, right?
Club Med facility.
She's in prison.
Yeah, but they moved her to a high
She's in
security.
prison.
Hold on.
Who's they though? Trump doesn't give it. The thing is,
You don't. You wait. hold on. Hold on.
Brian.
Trump doesn't give those
Trump
commands.
doesn't give the direct orders
He doesn't.
of what a
So
judge.
who told Todd? Who told
He
Todd
doesn't-
Blanche?
He does not give.
Okay.
Trump. Wait. This is a very important point that I want to make. Trump is the president of the United States. He does not give direct orders to federal judges
Didn't
on
ask
what
you
is
that.
going to be done with prisoners.
Who?
The only thing he
Okay.
can do
Let's
is
talk about that.
pardon them.
Let's talk about that.
If he loved
Hold
her
on.
so much, why didn't
Dude,
he pardon?
let's talk
why
about
didn't
that.
he pardon her?
Who told Donald Trump's former personal attorney, Todd Blanche, to go interview Ghislaine Maxwell? And why is it 2 days later, after that interview, she was transferred to a Club Med facility?
As far as I'm
Who told
concerned,
Todd Blanche to do that?
That's
Who
DOJ.
did it?
That's DOJ.
So you don't think Trump had anything
So
to do with that?
Well, Pam Bondi was the boss of Todd Blanche at the time.
You don't think
So
Trump
that's
had
her
anything to
boss.
do with that?
I don't know. My point is, you're just
That's
using
not. You're
speculation.
not being intellectually honest.
My point. Well, neither are you when you say
He won't rule out a pardon for her.
Neither are you being morally intellectual when you won't acknowledge that Trump has done good and that he's not completely
I never
morally
said
bankrupt.
I never said
Ooh.
that
You
Trump.
haven't acknowledged
Hold
any
on,
of the good
hold on.
things he's ever done.
Dude, I don't know who this guy is, but this guy's good. I like this guy. I think he's my favorite so far.
I'll acknowledge it.
Okay.
I'm sure in Donald Trump's life, he's done some good things. I've never said otherwise.
good things.
Okay, just because somebody in their life does some or many good things doesn't mean that he's a morally good man.
But
I've-
I didn't say that though. You're saying that he's morally bankrupt.
absolutely, I've given
Morally
you a lot of
bankrupt
reasons
means
for that.
There's zero morals.
Yeah.
And what I'm saying to you is, though his sex life might have been complicated, and he's
It's
been
not.
accused-
No, that's not.
Okay,
You're
but what I'm saying is
mischaracterizing
he's
it.
also done a lot of good.
Hold on a second. I never said he's morally bankrupt because of his sex life.
Most of the examples you listed were either sex life or
Yeah,
comments he
sex
made
life-
on Twitter.
Sex life
Yeah.
would mean
Which
he's going out with a lot of different
let me ask you a
women.
question. Do you-
Hold on a second.
You,
Oh,
you-
I hope he drops. Please, I hope he drops the where do you get your ethics from?
you brought up the tweets.
Well, hold on.
Wait,
Let's
you
do
brought up-
sex
you-
life.
You brought up the tweets with Robert Mueller. How many people on the Democratic side have said really nasty things? You have Jimmy Kimmel. You have all these people.
I'm talking about elected
And
officials, not a
doesn't
comedian.
and that doesn't get addressed.
Hold on.
Oh,
We are talking about elected officials. So if you want to talk about, hold on, name me one elected official on the left, for example, that was celebrating the murder of Charlie Kirk or an assassination attempt on Donald Trump. Can you name me one?
Yeah, there was AOC.
What did she say about Charlie Kirk?
She made tweets basically
What did she say?
insinuating that we have to stand up for even if that means violence. What's the other
What?
lady? No,
Hold on, let's
there's
stick with
another
AOC.
lady.
Hold
I'm
on.
just trying to think.
One
of
at
her
a
name.
time. Hold on.
Maxine
Hold on.
Waters. There
One
you
at a
go.
time.
Maxine Waters.
What did she say
She
about
has
Charlie Kirk?
publicly said over and over that we need to stand up and use violence if it's
Okay,
necessary.
hold on. You're not listening
There's
to my
many
question.
Democratic
You're not
politicians
listening
that
to my
have said that.
question.
There's many
Listen to my
There's
question.
many Democratic
Okay,
politicians that
okay.
have said
You can
things
say
like
many,
this.
but we're going to be specific
There's
here.
and
You're not-
influencers.
Wait, you got to listen to my question. You're
I'm
not
li-
answering my question. Name me one elected official on the left.
Maxine
that's-
Waters.
No, you're not letting me finish. And by the way,
Yeah.
she didn't, but we can get
She
to that.
actually did.
Celebrated the death
Yeah.
of Charlie Kirk. Give me one.
I didn't say she celebrated it.
Okay,
I
she
sa- I
said,
said a
and what
lot
did she say
A lot of
specifically?
elected officials.
She said be
a
confrontational.
lot of elected officials on the
no,
left
be
have called
confrontational.
for doing whatever it
What does that mean, Brian? Be confrontational. What? Just stand up to them and be like, "Hey, excuse me, Republicans, you need to do better now, or else." Like, how is that far from getting physical? How is that intimidating? Even if you just meant like yelling at them or something, that's still like you're still telling the people to harass Republicans.
takes to get Trump
Violence?
out, whether that's lawfare,
Violence?
whether that's violence.
Name me one person.
I
Give me
just
the
said
quote.
Maxine-
What did she say?
She went on Twitter.
What did
and
she
she
say?
also made a video.
What did she
I remember
say?
specifically in a video that she said that we have to stand up against Trump, even
Okay.
if violence is involved.
No, she never said
They-
that. You're a liar.
you know, that's
No,
not true.
you are wrong.
No, that's
I will
not true,
pay
man.
you and I will
She
eat my
did
own
say
No, I will
Pay
pay
me,
you.
pay me.
I'll make $1,000
Okay.
bet with you right now
Okay.
that Maxine Waters never condoned violence.
Brian's
Trump
gambling
call
problem.
for-
You're lying.
Wait,
What
let
you
me
just
ask you
said
a
is
question.
wrong.
Wait, let me
You're
ask you a
lying.
question.
You can't just say things.
Whenever Trump was happy that Robert Mueller died, was that him calling for violence?
Why are you changing the subject?
No, I'm just answer the question.
No,
though.
you didn't answer
Yeah.
mine.
He didn't call.
Because Brian is saying, well, name me where they ever called for violence or blah blah blah. Okay, well, did Donald Trump never call for violence either? Never did he call for violence. So he's just trying to use Brian's same standard. But that's actually a very good thing that this guy called it out, because that was Brian trying to be a weasel again, trying to say, name me a Democrat that's ever condoned or promoted violence. but then he'll bring up Donald Trump saying things about Robert Mueller, about Rob Reiner, but he didn't promote violence by saying those things.
Hold
For
on a
violence.
second. You didn't
He
answer
didn't
my.
call.
Hold
he
on.
did not call for violence
Hold
or
on.
assassination.
You just
he was
said
happy that someone that he
you
disliked
just
died.
This is important. You just said
If Adolf Hitler died,
gotta-
I would
dude,
be happy
dude,
too.
hold on.
What's the
you
difference?
I just said name me. I asked you a question and it was very specific.
Maxine Waters.
And you're wrong. You
No,
just
I'm
lied
not.
about her
I'll
quote.
Google it.
She never. I don't need to
Google
Google it
it.
because I know the
Google
quote you're
it.
talking about. You Google it. I just
Look
made you.
up Democratic politicians that have called for violence.
And
There's
you're
a
saying-
list.
Everyone's all pulling out their phones. Let's do it. Let's look up Democrat politicians who have called for violence. Okay, well, let's see what this list says here. Maxine Waters, during a 2018 rally, she told protesters to confront Trump administration officials in public spaces, saying, "If you see anybody from that cabinet in a restaurant, in a department store, or at a gasoline station, you get out and you create a crowd. You push back on them and you tell them they're not welcome." Republicans frequently cite this as an incitement to harassment, while Waters maintained it was a call for peaceful public assembly. Wow. Peaceful public assembly, huh? Chuck Schumer. In 2020, while speaking at a rally outside the Supreme Court regarding a case on abortion rights, Schumer said, "I want to tell you, Gorsuch, I want to tell you, Kavanaugh, you have released the whirlwind and you'll pay the price. You won't know what hit you if you go forward with these awful decisions." Chief Justice John Roberts publicly rebuked the comments as dangerous, while Schumer's office clarified the remarks were warning about the political consequences of their rulings. Kamala Harris, during a 2020 television interview when discussing the protests over racial injustice, she stated they're not going to stop and they should not, and we should not. Critics argue this excused the rioting and violence that occurred during that period, while supporters noted her comments were explicitly aimed at peaceful demonstrations. Oof. What's this? I'm throwing up a link here. I'm gonna move this over here real quick. 57 times sick and hinged Democrats declared war on law enforcement. Oof. So this is about ICE. There are 57 times Democrats have recklessly, deliberately stoked hatred and division against them. So Newsom, Tim Walz, Governor J.B. Pritzker, Kathy Hochul, Josh Shapiro, Peggy Flanagan. Look at Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, Mark Warner. So this is a whole list of the Democrats stoking. This is stoking like fear on the ICE, like fear mongering against ICE. Deliberately stoked fear, hatred and division against them. And then they wonder why there's Alex Preddies and Renee Goods, huh? Democrats are inciting violence. This is house.gov. I think that's the Chuck Schumer one. The U.S. Senate Minority Leader openly called for a forceful uprising, even as Antifa militants attack ICE agents in Chicago and rioters clash with police in Portland. I'm pretty sure there's more too. Like there's a bunch more that we could find. Let's see what Maxine Waters, if there's anything else. So Maxine Waters, Representative Waters has repeatedly called for violence, civil unrest, harassment, and assault of public and private persons throughout her tenure as a member of Congress. So this is so. Whereas in the wake of the Rodney King riots in May 1992, Representative Waters said, "If you call it a riot, it sounds like it was just a bunch of crazy people who went out and did bad things for no reason. I maintain it was somewhat understandable, if not acceptable, so I call it a rebellion." 2000. So Maxine Waters has been doing this since as early as 92. In 2007, Representative Waters told an anti-Iraq war rally, "My name is Maxine Waters, and I'm not afraid of George Bush. My name is Maxine Waters, and I'm not intimidated by Cheney. My name is Maxine Waters, and I have to get rid of Rumsfeld." 2017, Waters told a crowd in an LGBTQ youth gala, "With this kind of inspiration, I will go and take Trump out tonight." Wow. She'll go and take Trump out tonight, huh? 2018, Representative Waters told the crowd, "If you see anybody from President Trump's cabinet in a restaurant, department store," that quote. 2018, Representative Waters told the crowd of her supporters in Los Angeles, "I do not threaten Trump constituents and supporters. I do that all the time, but I didn't do it that time." Oh, all right. In 2021, Waters told violent protesters, "We've got to stay on the street. We've got to get more active. We got to get more confrontational. We got to make sure they know that we mean business." Huh. So, yeah. This is from 2021. Hey, we got the goal. Thank you very much for the third. Thank you very much, third, for the $4.99. Give me an example of an elected public official that I voted for that said the words "do violence against Republicans." Name one. Yeah, exactly. He's just going to move the goalpost again. Thank you very much, third. And thank you very much, guys, for helping me complete the super chat goal. We have saved Rob from getting peeped on by Brian Shapiro.
That's the creep, gentlemen. No, I just wanted to see him without a shirt.
But Trump cannot take my...
There you go. Good job, officers. And good job, Coolverse. We have stopped Bryce Shap once again. Let me restart the goal. Yeah, Ilhan Omar denounced Charlie Kirk. Exactly. Let me just look at what did Ilhan Omar and AOC say about Charlie Kirk.
Representative Ilhan Omar, appearing on CNN, had this to say about Charlie Kirk's legacy.
I just think it was the video where it called him Dr. Frankenstein and said his monster shot him through the neck. I mean, obviously this is a person, and looking at this is someone who was a husband and a father. And in the days after his shocking death, that happened as a result of his views, or it happened as a result as he was sharing his views publicly with people, that people found it jarring to hear such criticism of that in the immediate aftermath of
what
death.
I find jarring is that there are so many people willing to excuse the most reprehensible things that he said, that they agree with that they're willing to have monuments for him, that they want to create a day to honor him, and that they want to produce resolutions in the House of Congress honoring his life and legacy. It is one thing to care about his life, because obviously so many people loved him, including his children and wife. But I am not going to sit here and be judged for not wanting to honor any legacy this man has left behind. That should be in the dustbin of history, and we should hopefully move on and forget the hate that he spewed every single day.
So, Billy, you just got back.
Yeah, so there you go. And any wonder why I really dislike that woman and I want her deported. Like, just awful, horrible human being. Morally bankrupt, if you will. But yeah, there you go, Brian. There's an elected official who, yeah, she may not have wished violence on anybody or stoked violence, at least in that clip, but she's being disrespectful to the dead, just like Donald Trump did. So what is the new goalpost? Like, well, she's not president, though. Yeah, but she's still an elected official, Brian. And look what she said about Charlie Kirk.
list of them.
And you're wrong.
No, I'm
You're
not
wrong. Well, listen, dude.
We can disagree on that, but
it's not about a disagreement.
Let's go back.
You're just
Let's-
making
let's
up
talk
quotes.
let's talk about morally bankrupt, right? So you have the Clinton Foundation.
Oh, so we're talking about the Clintons now.
Yeah.
You don't want to talk about Trump.
No, I will talk about
Is this
him.
prompt about the
No,
Clintons? I don't defend the Clintons. Let me be very clear. Let me be very clear. No, we're going to end this right now.
Talk about Trump. Trump was already
No, we're going to
wealthy.
end this right now.
Trump was already
About Clinton.
wealthy.
Can I talk to you about Clinton? Because we're going to end
Do you
your
like
talking
him,
points
yes or
right here.
no?
No, listen to me. I believe Bill Clinton did some horrible things to women.
Great.
I have gone on national
I'm glad.
networks.
I'm glad.
No, but here's the difference between you and me.
What?
I don't defend Bill Clinton. Okay, even though he was a fiscally responsible president, I'm not going to sit here like you and
Do you
defend
think
it.
he was morally bankrupt?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
But unlike you,
Do you think-
wait a second.
do you think
wait
Obama
a second.
was?
Wait a second. Unlike you, I'm able to look you in the face right now as a man and say, I believe Bill Clinton did some horrible things. You are
Yeah.
not willing to sit here and say the same about Donald Trump because you're in a cult.
Well, I actually do think
You're in a cult.
No. I do.
You're a cultist.
I do. Wait, let me.
Dude. You know what else I like about this guy is that not only is he destroying Brian, but he's so calm about it. He's not letting Brian get him worked up. But also, Brian is in a cult. Like, it's the cult of anti-Trump. That's what he's in. But Brian said the other day that if it came down to Bill Clinton and Donald Trump, like if they both were running for president, who would Brian vote for? He would vote for Bill Clinton. And I think there's more evidence that Bill Clinton did some horrible stuff than Donald Trump. You know what I mean? I think the allegations against Bill Clinton were much more reliable than Donald Trump's accusers were, you know. But Brian, even though he'll sit here and say, well, yeah, he's morally bankrupt, would he be willing to have a debate on Bill Clinton being morally bankrupt? If I were to come here and say, man, I am a big supporter of Bill Clinton, Brian, I love Bill Clinton, huge fan. I love that guy. Do you think Brian would get upset at me saying that? Would you think you'd be like, okay, well, I don't really care for Bill Clinton, but you know, to each their own. You know, like I'm sure that's what he would say. He wouldn't be as upset as he is if someone were to be like, I support Donald Trump. You take two people, one that says I really love Bill Clinton, one that says I really love Donald Trump. Brian's going to get more mad at the guy who says that they love Donald Trump more than the person that says I love Bill Clinton.
Is Trump morally bankrupt at all? Yes
I
or no?
don't think he's morally bankrupt. I do think that he's done things that weren't good, and as a Christian, there's things I don't obviously
Not good or really bad?
Yeah, things that could be perceived
Really
really
bad?
But I think since he's been in office, I don't think he's displayed the same character that he did maybe when he was a billionaire in New York when he was hanging out with tons of women. But I also think it's hypocritical to say that he's morally bankrupt when he's helped thousands of people. He's very generous. There's a lot of people that have a lot of good things, including people on your side of the aisle to say positive things about him.
Who said he's a great guy on the left?
If you look at something else, he doesn't take the presidential salary. He was wait. He was already wealthy before he got in. If you look at Clinton, they were negative 200K after they were worth 200 million. You look at Obama.
I've seen Brian get like this before on the last Sarah panel when he just like he just has like these meltdowns.
He got in. He was middle class.
All right, I'll end by saying
now
this.
he's worth over
I'll end by-
$150 million.
I'll end by saying this.
Nancy
and by the way, this
Pelosi.
is a fact.
Nancy
Hold on.
Pelosi.
I'm not defending
She's
Nancy
wealthy.
Pelosi.
So my point is, all these politicians have moral problems.
Hold on. You just said he doesn't accept
Which
his salary.
politician
Hold
is
on.
the most ethical?
You got to let me finish.
Which politician in your
you
opinion
gotta,
is the most
you got to let me
ethical?
respond to what you
Which
just said.
politician in
You
your
got to let me
opinion
respond to what you just
is
said.
the most
You
ethical?
got to let me respond to what you just
Okay,
said.
all
You've been
right.
interrupting a lot.
Go,
I didn't
go.
interrupt you.
Yeah, I just
You
don't have a lot of time.
bragged.
so-
I understand.
Yeah.
You just bragged or made a claim. Well, Donald Trump, he doesn't accept his $400,000 a year salary. By the way,
which
you-
he hasn't done
okay.
his first term either. By the
you
way.
can use your Google or maybe your Trump phone, which you never got.
Yeah.
But
I didn't order one.
Okay, well, you're one of the smarter ones, I guess.
Yeah.
Donald Trump, combined of all the presidents in the history of this country, has made more money as president than any of those other presidents.
Him personally?
Yes.
Him
When he was
personally?
president. Yeah.
Yeah. So what? So what? How did he make the money though? The same way he made money before he was president? The same way? How? Okay. There has to be a word that's similar to per capita, but with the presidency and making money. Okay. Trump was a billionaire when he was president, and he was a billionaire when he left president, and then he's been a billionaire for, I don't know, as long as I could remember. The guy's been rich. Okay. But Obama, Joe Biden, all these people, they didn't go they went in like, with less net worth than they left. Okay. So in reality, like, even though Trump might have gotten rich, maybe more richer than the other presidents, the question should be doing what though? Why did Joe Biden, who's been a career politician on a politician's salary, how did he make as much money as he did just by working for the government? Like, how did he become a millionaire? Same with Obama. How did they become millionaires? That shouldn't be the case. Donald Trump was already rich as hell, but not these people.
Yes.
Him personally.
Yes.
Okay.
You can look that up
Okay.
and you can Google it. There is literally, I'm not saying there isn't corruption with other people. Of course
Yeah.
there is.
My point is there's no
Brian,
comparison. Look, my point is just be fair. All these politicians on the left and right have morality problems, in my opinion. You look at what happened with Swalwell just recently.
And unlike you, I called that out immediately and I told him to step down.
I actually do think that
You don't want Donald Trump to step down. You voted for him. I
don't want him to step down because of things he did in his sex life or tweets that he made.
So you think Swalwell should have stayed in office?
I never said that. When did I say that?
But Donald Trump can stay in office and be president. Do you see different standards for different people? No,
He never
wait.
said that
You
he should
brought up
step down.
Swalwell, not me.
That's
the
fine.
second all
Bring
the
it up.
stuff came out about Swalwell,
Bring it up.
I immediately said he needs to step down and he is
Yeah.
a scumbag.
But there's actually evidence of it.
there's no evidence of Trump.
A lot of
There's no evidence
There's
of
no
Trump.
evidence that he raped anyone. No,
Okay,
there's not.
let's talk. We can
And
talk
just
about that.
and you could say
Okay.
you could say a court ruling, but I will also say this: courts also make mistakes.
Okay, so they
Can we
made a
not agree
mistake.
to that?
Um,
Was Nelson Mandela? Should he have been in prison?
So
just
there's a
'cause
difference.
Just because the
okay.
South African.
So we can.
court ruled
So
that
if
he
you
was guilty
disagree with,
of a crime?
so if you disagree with the E. Jean Carroll case, obviously I would disagree with you on that. But there's a little bit more.
all
Hold on.
I'm saying is allegations don't mean
Like
that
what?
it happened.
Allegations.
What's the evidence that the E. Jean Carroll thing happened? Just that she said so? That's it? What other evidence was there? I'm curious. I gotta look into that because I'm like, what evidence? He's saying there's a little bit more evidence. What is it? She said so?
Allegations.
Allegations.
And there's a lot of people that don't want Trump in office. So yes, they're going to pay.
So you're an
women
evidence. So you're an evidence-based. There's a pile of evidence that Donald Trump probably did some horrible
He
things.
just thinks.
He could have, but there's no evidence
Who won
to
the
say without a shadow
2020?
of a
Who
doubt.
won a free and fair election in 2020? Since you're such an
Oh my
evidence-based
gosh.
person, who won the 2020 election free and fair?
I honestly don't know.
You honestly don't know.
I don't know.
So you claim that
Yeah.
you're an evidence-based person, yet there is zero evidence of widespread voter fraud that we've seen in 6 years. Yet when I ask you who won a free and fair election in 2020, you say, I don't know. So your entire argument goes out the window
it doesn't.
because you
No,
can't
it
admit that
doesn't.
Joe
Yeah,
Biden
no,
won
it
a free and
doesn't.
fair
because
election.
I don't trust either side at this point. So
Okay.
I don't honestly know.
All right. Thank you. All right. Thank you. I better not piss you off because you look like you would kick my ass.
I have the ability to.
Let's to be fair, I think everyone could kick Brian's ass in that room, including the old guy right here.
Make violence happen, but I'm a pacifist.
I'm glad to hear that. You don't look like a guy I want to mess with. All right. So obviously, you know the prompt. I believe Donald Trump is morally bankrupt. What are your thoughts?
Yes. So I'd like to establish a couple things here before we get started.
Okay.
And me going forward in this conversation with you, I want you to realize I don't want you to take anything that I'm saying as an attack on you personally. I actually think we might be able to find some common ground.
Good. I hope we do.
On one item here.
Just
So,
one?
Probably just one. Hopefully.
Okay.
That's the intent. So I have a couple questions for you. Do you have
Sure.
a lot of experience with women?
Before okay. Well, so far this guy is up to a good start. Do you have much experience with women? Well, depends. Do you mean like OF girls, strippers, masseuses? What are you talking about exactly? Do you mean actual women that I don't have to pay? But I just want to say this. That last guy, I think he was the best so far. That guy's my favorite. Not only did he again challenge Brian and actually made him be like, no, why don't you be fair about it? Make great arguments, but he was so cool, calm and collected about it. I think that was good stuff. So far he's my favorite. I hope that there's someone whamming. I hope that there's someone that's better than that guy. Had he been setting him up the whole intro? Yeah, probably.
What do you mean by experience?
Do you have a lot of dating experience?
What do you mean by experience? Like first base, holding hands, giving a kiss on the cheek? What do you mean by that?
Okay, that's the intent. So I have a couple questions for you. Do you have
Sure.
a lot of experience with women?
What do you mean by experience?
Do Do you have a lot of dating experience, relationship experience?
I mean, I'm 46 years old, so I would say probably. I've never been married before. I was engaged. I mean, I've never been accused of for sexual assault, if that's what you're about to ask me next, because I've never sexually assaulted anybody. I've never been found liable for sexual abuse. I've never had a woman that has accused me of.
I'm not in the Epstein files more times than Jesus was mentioned in the Bible.
So yeah, I've never been married before. I'm not a perfect person, but as far as that's concerned, yeah, I would say I have some experience. Yeah.
Okay, so it's fair to say you have some limited experience, not too much. Now, statistics say 1 in 4 women here in America during their lifetime experience some form of sexual abuse. And being factored in those statistics as well, I think we could both agree any form of sexual abuse, especially against a woman, is one of the most heinous and disgusting crimes that could possibly be committed. We agree.
I agree, of course.
Do you believe women have...
I was going to say, isn't that like a debunked stat, that whole 1 in 4 thing? He's talking about the friend she paid to corroborate her story. He's talking about the friend she paid to corroborate her story. Oh,
the capacity to lie about being raped.
It's happened in the past. I could go to the Duke lacrosse story, which was a very big story, a woman who was very disturbed. So absolutely, it certainly does happen. But I will also tell you that I tend to, most of the time, believe victims unless they give me a reason not to. We could be talking about everything. I'll be the first one to admit the Jussie Smollett stuff, while that wasn't a sexual assault, I think most of us, not all of us, but most of us, when we saw that story, we thought it was true. And then we learned he's a scumbag. He lied. Are there situations where women could lie? Absolutely. I tend to believe most victims when they claim they're victims, unless they give me a reason not to. But it'd be disingenuous for me to say that doesn't happen. I've talked about stories where it has happened. So of course.
I would say what you just said about leaning towards believing right off the bat. I believe that's a problem within itself. And before you respond, I'd like to ask you another question.
Sure.
Do you understand the difference between a criminal court proceeding and a civil court
Absolutely.
proceeding?
I know there's a lower threshold, but as you know, I haven't just
so
made...
Let's identify that real quick. So a criminal proceeding, in order to make a conviction happen, the evidence must show beyond the shadow of a doubt.
I understand.
Now, of course, like Alan had mentioned previously, the system is flawed. There are so many wrongfully convicted people in this country. Now, in a civil court proceeding, even if it's a restraining order, still civil, that is by preponderance of the evidence, 50% of more.
Correct.
Very low burden of proof.
Understood.
Most civil court proceedings don't even go in front of a
Okay,
jury.
so the argument you're...
No, I'm getting there.
I understand what you're trying to say.
So...
all right. I think this guy's going to get to... I think this guy's going to corner Brian. The good Austin, thank you very much for being a member for 2 months, paying for my citizenship like a legal, God-fearing, family-loving American. Don't need the super cops coming for me. I'm an SAR after all, not one step back. Thank you very much. Good Austin. By the way, he's talking about this, the Coolverse ICE.
But I'm a documented citizen of the Coolverse.
Then show me your papers. All right, you're free to go.
Yes, if you want to remain a documented citizen, if you want to be a documented citizen of the Coolverse, become a member. Thank you very much, good Austin.
Yeah. The basis for your argument that Trump is morally bankrupt. You keep referring to the sexual assault allegations.
I've referred to a lot of things. That's one of many. Yep.
That was what you started off with.
Right, but I've named a lot of things.
That seemed to be the consistent trend throughout these conversations.
It's one of many.
Now, what do you think should happen if a man is falsely accused and it comes out in court that indeed he was?
I believe if it's proven in a court of law, and I'm going to go back to the Duke lacrosse case, then I believe that's a very serious crime. Now, let me just respond to some of the things that you've said. We're not just talking about one liable sexual abuse case. We're also talking about 30 women, including his ex-wife that was under deposition, that claimed that he raped her. Then all of a sudden, those claims went away when he paid her off. There are a lot of women that have accused him of sexual assault or way before he went into public life running for president as a politician. There are a lot of billionaires in this country that have never been accused of rape or sexual assault. So I don't want to hear, I'm not saying you said this, but just because somebody has money doesn't necessarily mean that there's going to be all these women that are going to make claims. I also go by the things he says, his behaviors, the things he does. I do believe there's a lot of circumstantial evidence as well, including being the best friend of one of the biggest sex traffickers on the planet for over 10 years.
Someone in the chat brought up earlier, yeah, but is there a painting of Donald Trump in a dress that's hung up on Epstein Island? No, but that would be Bill Clinton. Thank you very much to the Quilava for $4.99. Have y'all noticed that ever since this guy came up, Brian hasn't said one disrespectful thing or spurg out? Yeah, I know, right? He's like, this guy could actually beat me up. Brian, everybody could beat you up, all right? Everybody, all right? You shouldn't be afraid of everybody. But thank you very much, Quilava. That's a good point. But see, all of this is just my feelings. I just feel Trump is bad. I just look at Trump in general, and I just think of all the bad things that I've heard about him. That's why I think he's a great
parties that he went to, the women he was around. So it's not just about being a pig and being a serial cheater. I do believe he did some awful things. In the Epstein files, there's an 11-year-old girl at the time that claimed that he raped her, and the FBI thought it was credible enough that they interviewed her. Why it wasn't investigated first?
Yeah, didn't she retract? Didn't she say that she made it all up though? She retract. Well, she was probably paid to. But she took it back though, Brian, and he brings up that girl all the time. Never brings up about how she retracted though.
Further, I don't know. So I look at somebody's history, right? If nobody, Joe Biden is a perfect example. There was one woman that came forward that claimed that Joe Biden sexually abused her. She changed her story 4 or 5 times. His entire life, nobody has accused him of that before. And I don't find her credible because Joe Biden is a Democrat. I think Swalwell probably did some horrible things to women. I mentioned Bill Clinton. Anthony Weiner is a scumbag. He's done my show a couple times. He's a freak.
What? So wait a minute. Anthony Weiner, it's fine that you have Anthony Weiner on your show, but Bill Maher, yeah, he's a piece of because he has all these right-wing wackos like Lauren Boebert and such. Josh, he says, Savannah assault her innocent because of no charge. Trump still guilty, even though she retracted and no charge. Yeah, that's the thing that like irritates me. It's like there has been no charges. He always say like, oh, but no one's been charged, no one's been convicted. But then Donald Trump, like you bring up Donald Trump hasn't been convicted or charged with anything regarding the Epstein files. He still talks about it. And he talks about it as if it's fact.
I don't think Republican or Democrat doesn't have anything to do with it for me. I understand that criminal and then there's civil, liable, lower threshold. I understand the point you're making, but it doesn't change my opinion on Trump's history, all the women that have come forward.
So that right there, your opinion, exactly what you said. That's all it is your opinion.
Yeah,
and that's fair
exactly.
for you.
Was he not found liable?
That is fair for you to have your opinion. Now, he was found liable in what setting?
It was in New York City, right? Yep.
Civil.
Yeah, I understand.
Right?
Yeah.
By preponderance of the evidence. So again,
evidence that we haven't seen.
Hasn't been criminally convicted.
I never said he was.
Here's the problem with
he was criminally convicted for other things.
This is my problem with you leading with that argument, right? I understand your distaste for Trump. That's
it's cool. Like it's great that this guy's being very respectful. And, he is making good arguments here. And I like that he's getting Brian trapped into a corner here. But I just would have loved to have said, because Brian has acknowledged that this guy could probably kick his ass, if it would have just been, no, you shut your mouth, bitch. Shut your mouth and be quiet. I'm talking. Like, what would Brian would have done? Like, Brian would have had to just shut up. That would have been so great.
Said he was.
Here's the problem with.
He was criminally convicted for other things.
This is my problem with you leading with that argument, right? I understand your distaste for Trump. That's perfectly fine. But the way that you present your argument, specifically within that subject, is damaging. I would say.
I think his behavior is damaging. I think the way he treats women is damaging.
I understand that.
I think talking about grabbing women by the is damaging.
I understand.
It's more damaging than anything I've said in this conversation.
I understand that, but I want to get something clear to you. This is where I hope we could come to an agreement with this topic in particular. I would argue that there is probably a similar amount of men in this country who are falsely accused.
I would disagree with that.
100%.
I would disagree.
100%. Now, even if it's not the same, maybe it's a little bit off, regardless, it is a huge problem because we've already identified there is an issue in this country with women being sexually assaulted and women being 1 in 4. That is a terrible statistic. Let me finish. That is a terrible statistic. You know what hurts those women even more so? When other women falsely accuse men knowingly and everyone jumps to the
Have you ever
side.
had that happen to you?
Yes, I have.
Okay, I kind of got that sense.
Yeah.
So
Not just me. Ton of people. I served in the Marine Corps.
Yes.
10 years. You know,
And he's a Marine. Oh man, Brian really better watch his mouth now. He's a Marine. Dude, I just would love it. This guy, and he's like, no, you shut your mouth right now and listen while I'm talking. Yes, sir. Yeah, I will. Okay, yeah, sure. Now, who's the liberal mushroom gobbler? I am, sir. I am.
know how many Marines that I served with had their entire lives ruined because of false accusations?
That's horrible.
It is
Absolutely
horrible. And you know what it does? Those false accusations that we as a society allow women to get away with, it actually disenfranchises real victims of rape and sexual assault. For you to come on here and leading with that argument when there hasn't been a clear conviction, we haven't seen the evidence. You acknowledge that yourself.
So
what that does
let me
is
respond to that.
disenfranchises real victims.
So I disagree.
And not only does your
He disagrees that disenfranchises real victims. What, Brian? What?
Conviction. We haven't seen the evidence. You acknowledge that yourself.
So
what that does
so let me
is
respond to that.
disenfranchises real victims.
So I
And
disagree.
not only does your argument disenfranchise women who have been victimized, it disenfranchises all the men in this room, including yourself.
Yes, sir.
Including yourself.
So let me ask you a
Because-
question. Let me ask you a question.
I'm
Come
not
on,
done.
you got to let me finish,
not
man. You're
done.
filibustering. You got to let me finish.
I'm not done.
You're not letting me
You
talk.
claim to be you claim that Trump is morally bankrupt.
Absolutely.
That guy just picks up one of those cans and just throws it right at Brian's head. No, shut up.
Absolutely.
That being your primary premises.
I have about
If
100
you-
other things
if
that I've
you
mentioned. You're
cannot
focusing on one thing.
acknowledge- If you cannot acknowledge the way you went about that argument is damaging to both sides, then I would say you were the one that's morally bankrupt.
Okay, so you got to let me
and
respond,
have
bro.
No
You got to let me respond.
standing
I'm being
to continue
respectful.
this argument.
Okay, well, first of all, I do.
Well, you have no choice but to be respectful, Brian. You're debating against a Marine now who definitely could kick your ass. Definitely. Thank you very much, William, for becoming a YouTube member. Remember, with that membership, you get access to all the past live streams and you get access to some sweet custom emojis, including the Bryshat bingo card one and the Brian Shapiro one where it looks like he's filleting the microphone. Yeah, you get access to all that now. So thank you very much.
I disagree with you. I didn't interrupt you. So now let me ask you a question.
If I may please make my point, if you allow me to, please, sir. Thank you very much. Okay, so let's see.
When a woman, and I'm sorry that happened to you, a woman falsely accused you of, did you file a defamation lawsuit? Did you hire an attorney? Did you go after her in any way, shape, or form? And I'm sorry that happened to you, by the way. That's horrible. Did you go after her in any way?
See, it's complicated. So for the security of my children, because it does involve the other side there, I can't answer that.
Okay. I can tell you that if a woman accused me of, the first thing that I would do is I would go after them if it wasn't true.
Of course.
I'm sorry that.
Like I did with Sarah
Let me just talk
Spector.
about Trump now.
Well,
Let me just talk about Trump.
Well,
You
one
got-
second, because this is an important point, and I want you to understand this too. So hopefully you can lead these conversations in a different way moving forward. You mentioned the civil process of suing someone making a false accusation. Do you know how much that costs?
It can be expensive.
Hundreds of thousands of dollars. A typical
well, I don't think it's that
slander
much,
and
but-
defamation case.
but if you can
easily
prove
6 figures.
damages-
Do you think the average man in this country?
Donald
can
Trump is not
afford
the
that?
average man.
No.
Okay.
These types
So hold
of
on.
Holy cow. You know, I've been joking around saying that like he's the Bonnie Blue of the debate world now, but he really is. The way he's just getting like just blown out after blowout after blowout, man. This is great. Yeah, Brian's cope stream is going to be he doesn't believe the Marine and he's a POS who probably does great women. Yeah, exactly. Pretty sure as soon as he gets on the radio tomorrow, yeah, by the way, that Marine, he probably did grape that woman. He's a piece of He voted for Trump, 34 count felon. Like, he's going to talk all mad shit as soon as he's not in the same room with this guy.
You're making my point for me.
It is a crime.
You're making my point
It
for
is
me.
indeed
Okay.
a
Okay. So let me just
crime.
respond to everything you just said. Okay. You're making my point for me. I agree with you. There are some people in this country that can't afford representation. Guess who can? His name is Donald J. Trump. He's had over 30 women that have accused him of sexual assault. He hasn't, and by the way, this guy threatens to sue somebody if they call him an orange orangutan. He actually filed a lawsuit against Bill Maher for calling him an orange orangutan. He hasn't gone after legally for defamation any of these women, and I will tell you why. Because he doesn't want discovery. That's why. Now let me go through this list. Hold on. Let me just finish. Please, let me just finish. Please let me finish. Because we don't have any court records showing that he filed any civil suits against any of these women. Now let me
Do you not
hold
think
on.
there could be?
Let me give you the list.
Yeah. So what? So because Brian didn't go after Sarah Specter, does that mean that he's guilty then? There could be all sorts of reasons why Donald Trump, first of all, defamation is very hard. That's just very hard to prove no matter how rich you are. And sometimes it's just not worth it. I mean, Donald Trump's already tried going after like companies or like companies or people for defamation. It didn't go anywhere. It got dropped because it's very hard to prove. Thank you very much, Quilava, for the $4.99. Bro lied to Brian. As a fellow Marine, I know he ain't no pacifist. All of us are nuts and love violence more than the average person. Well, there you go about that. Yeah, Brian better mind his manners. Thank you very much for the $4.99, brother. Yeah, go Chad, take him down.
Circumstances
Let me
behind
hold on.
Why he
there's
would
no
not file?
record. There's no
Because
public record of it.
Here's the
hold
thing.
on, dude. You gotta let me finish. I only spoke for like 20 seconds.
I'm gonna let you finish.
But dude, please, sir, can I, please, with your permission, can I please just talk a little bit more? I've only got to talk for 20 seconds. Only if I get your permission, please.
I gotta respond.
To correct you where you're
okay,
wrong.
hold on. Respectfully, just give me a minute.
Isn't it interesting to see that men in particular who are wealthy, who are in the public eye, who have abundance of access to women all the time, hundreds of different women flocking over to these men because of their wealth and status.
So Harvey Weinstein's not a
that
Bill Cosby's not a
talking about these specific examples. Of course,
don't use the excuse of money. That's ridiculous.
Some of these people.
All right, hold on. Let me
can commit.
My friend, let me just.
I'm not trying to discredit that by any means.
I understand. Let me just respond
to. There is a trend here that needs to be acknowledged.
Let's talk about a trend.
It is much more common
for
those people to have that influence and
hold on
wealth
quickly
to be targeted by false
quickly.
allegations.
Let me respond. I have to respond to all the things he said because it's a lot, and I'm going to respond in this way. You mean to tell me, and I'm going to go down a little list here. The man is in the Epstein files 40,000 times, who calls people like you and me stupid for even bringing it up, who is protecting right now as we speak, who was best friend.
Now he's trying to act like he's on the same side as this guy who call people like you and me stupid. Yeah, we're in this together, brother, right? Trump, we're in this together, right? Right? Please.
Go down a little list.
Don't hurt me.
The man is in the Epstein files 40,000 times, who calls people like you and me stupid for even bringing it up, who is protecting right now as we speak, who was best friends with one of the biggest sex traffickers in the world, Jeffrey Epstein, the man whose own ex-wife called him a rapist, and then he paid her off to shut her up, a guy who has literally 30 women that have accused him of sexual assault, credible allegations that go way before he ever got into public office. Yes, he is a liable sexual abuser. Yes, he's had credible claims of young girls. Yes, the man who bragged about sexual assault. This is a man with a history and a pattern. It's not just about cheating on women. It's not just about paying somebody $130,000 in hush money, okay? The fact of the matter is that this man has a long list of a lot of, hold on a second, long list.
Your point.
So my opinion, hold on, let me just give you, I'll land my plane here. My opinion, okay, is the man has a history of abusing women, in my opinion. So
his opinion. So he just admits it in his opinion. Well, then what the hell are we doing here for? What the hell are we doing here? We're just debating Brian's opinion? What the hell is the point of this debate? I didn't know we could just go and debate opinions. That's so ridiculous. With respect, sir, my friend, please. Please, sir.
I believe not just with the way he's treated women, the way he's people over financially, his Ponzi schemes, the things he says about women, the things he says about Gold Star families, the things he says about POWs. It's not just about allegations that you may or may not believe. I would even put that aside for a moment and list you 100 other things that this man has said or done in his career that make him morally bankrupt. But that said, I'm sorry that that happened to you. That's horrible. And I think anybody who makes up allegations about anybody, and it can be proven in a court of law, it's terrible. And I find that crime, because it is a crime, right, just as bad as the actual crime itself if it happened. But I appreciate it. Thank you, sir. Good. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Yes, thank you. Thank you for not hurting me. Please. If I were that guy, I would have been like, oh, shut the fuck up. I don't want to shake your stupid ass hand. If you had a girlfriend, I would be banging her right now, and you'd be sitting in that corner over there watching because you had no choice. Yes, sir, I understand. Please. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right. Nice to meet you. I think you know what my takes are on why I believe Trump is morally bankrupt. Why am I wrong? Where am I wrong?
So I'm actually going to shock you. I'm going to give you an admission, and
I'm actually Hunter Biden.
Explain that admission.
Okay.
And I'm going to say that you've said some things where I don't know if you
I look like Hunter Biden, sound like PBD.
Don't have the same hypocrisy that I see in the overall Democratic Party, then
Okay.
I actually might not have issues with your position either.
Shoot it out.
Okay.
Yep.
So I do think that Trump is morally, I don't want to say bankrupt. I think
But a
Aaron,
bad guy?
yeah, a bad guy.
Okay,
I
that's
think
fair.
I think he's low morals.
Fair enough.
However, I think that his lack of morality solely applies to things that he did as an individual. And I think that all presidents, not just Republicans, but also Democrats, and even like Kamala Harris, I think that their low morality actually applies to what they did while they were in office.
So give me an example of Kamala, and I'll tell you whether I agree with you or
Oh, I
not.
love Kamala. Yeah, you missed it. So Kamala Harris, when she was the district attorney for San Francisco, you can read the motion yourself. These are not my words. A district court judge eviscerated her. I mean, absolutely laid into her. And it was because she knew about exculpatory evidence. Might have been 300. It might have been like 1,000 cases. And that judge literally told her that she was morally bankrupt, that she was a disgusting person. That
Because she tried to over-prosecute people that didn't deserve the sentence.
And that was in a court of law. Kamala Harris has been found in a court of law to be morally bankrupt. Brian, what do you say about that?
Might have been 300. It might have been like 1,000 cases. And that judge literally told her that she was morally bankrupt, that she was a disgusting person. That
Because she tried to over-prosecute people that didn't deserve the sentences? Is
No,
that
she knew about exculpatory evidence,
Okay.
evidence that proves
she-
someone is innocent.
Okay, and she didn't use it in a court of law, and that was proven.
No, the judge, this was literally
Yeah.
a ruling from a judge. The judge said, you knew about this evidence. It was literally your lawful duty to report it to the court, and you did not do it. Those are not my words. Those are the
Do we know
words.
for sure that she on purpose did that, or that did she overlook it?
So
So now when someone brings them evidence of like, look what Kamala Harris did, all of a sudden it's like, well, I mean, there is a reasons. Did she know she was doing it? Now all of a sudden he wants context. He wants explanations, to make sure that, he wants all the details now. He's not just assuming like with Donald Trump. If we would have came here and said the exact same thing about Donald Trump, Brian would be like, yeah, exactly. Yeah, he's morally bankrupt. I agree. Yeah, totally. Yeah, I believe you. But when it's about Kamala Harris, it's like, well, did she know she was doing it, or was it on purpose? All of a sudden, I need context here. But I'm a registered independent, though.
When you question this, I think that you have a revolving evidentiary standard. And I think that when it comes to.
So if that's true,
Mhm.
okay, what you're saying, then that's awful and that's wrong.
Okay. Can I finish though? Can I get
yes,
into it though?
please.
Okay. So she did that because it's not just one thing. There's a whole slew of things that she did. What we know for a fact that she did when she was attorney general, she defied the Supreme Court. She defied them so much that the Supreme Court said they were about to issue contempt for the state of California. It would have been the first time in United States Supreme Court history that they ever put anybody or any state in contempt. Legal scholars, people who are more informed than you and I, said that she wrote motions in bad faith and were so egregious that she would be forever barred from holding a federal bench. Now, that's just the legal part. What she was defying was an order to release inmates from what had been deemed cruel and unusual conditions. Justice Kennedy, who's a conservative justice who sided with the Democrats, said that there was needless death and suffering on a weekly basis. It is absolutely egregious. It is absolutely disgusting.
So do you want me to respond to that
No,
first,
I just
or-
have one more.
Okay,
Just one more.
sure.
So that, and then with the prosecution of One West, which I think is comical because this involves Steve Mnuchin, who would later become Trump's Treasury Secretary. She should have prosecuted One West for what they did, from filing false paperwork against people to basically take their homes back after they had defaulted on mortgages. They asked her why. There was more than enough evidence to prosecute One West and also prosecute Steve Mnuchin, and she just said, "No, I'm not prosecuting them." And George Soros is a person who put her into office, and One West was a George Soros company that literally put Steve Mnuchin in there. So, and this is I'll land my plane right now. So what I'm trying to get at is that I think that there is low morality on both sides. I think that Trump's low morality differs, that most of it came in his individual capacity. And I don't think that that is on the same level as someone who engages in such behaviors while they're in political office that affects people over them. And it's like, if you're a district attorney, if you're an attorney general and you're committing these acts, those people that you're impacting, they have no defense whatsoever. So I don't think, and this is what I want to get back to, where I might not think you're a hypocrite. If you're willing to equally criticize both parties and say that both parties have no morality whatsoever, I can go on a list of Biden, I can go on a list of Obama, I can go on a list of everyone and say that I think they have also done things that prove they are bad people. So if you're willing to criticize both parties, then I think you would agree to me that it's not the parties, it's the system that is morally bankrupt, and that it rewards people who are bad people. Like Jimmy Carter, I do not agree with.
So what do you think his response is going to be? It's going to be like, yeah, but Trump is bad. Daniel for the 2 Brian Fatigue Fund. Thank you very much for the Brian Fatigue Fund. I appreciate it. Thank you very much, brother. Yeah, good argument. Now let's hear Brian's opinion. Yeah, but this guy is absolutely correct, though. Like, everything he said was right. Like, that exactly, like, all like most politicians have done, are morally bankrupt or have done morally bad things. No politician is 100% good or whatever. But all these TDS people, they act like Donald Trump is this exception. And not only that, but Donald Trump is the worst of the worst. And that's just not right. Like, even if we add up all the things Donald Trump has done and add up all the things, like, you know, Democrat politicians have done, like on an individual level, like, it doesn't even compare. Like, it doesn't even compare. But they'll spurg about Trump this, Trump that, Trump this. But in reality, like, that guy made a great case about why Kamala is morally bankrupt. He could go on about how Joe Biden is. But Brian is still going to spurg about Trump. He's probably going to be like, unfortunately for you, sir, this is about if Donald Trump is morally bankrupt. I'm pretty sure that's what he's going to say. PBD's avatar isn't going to come in there without facts. Exactly.
With his economic policies, I think that he was
not a bad
unfairly,
man.
I think he was a saint. I think he was an amazing
So let me just
person.
respond to some of the things you said, because you said a lot. I don't like to take an entire party and say they're morally bankrupt. I like to take individuals. I'm unaware of the topics that you are referring to when it comes to Kamala Harris. I'm not saying it's not true. I'm just unaware of it.
Why can't you just announce Kamala Harris, Brian? Because when people tell him that, like, when Brian comes out with his TDS facts and someone hasn't heard of it, he'll be like, oh, you haven't heard of it? You don't know about that? You haven't read about it? And then when the person responds, it's like, okay, well, listen, if what you're saying is true, he'll be like, well, how come you have to say that? How come you have to say if what you're saying is true? How come you can't just believe what I'm saying and denounce Donald Trump? Like, you just have to believe everything he's saying. You can't question it. If you do, oh, you just can't insult Donald Trump. Okay, but here he is doing the same thing with Kamala Harris.
Here's what I do.
Here's what I do now. Trump derangement syndrome, pal. I just know orange man bad, okay?
Here's how I feel about Kamala. And by the way, I put out a video.
Oh, how I feel about Kamala. How I feel about Kamala.
Last week. I spoke with her last week for a few minutes. And after I spoke with her, I think I get the sense that she's not a bad person, but I don't want her to run again. I think she's a bad candidate. Here's how I do feel about Kamala. She appears to me to be a good mother. She appears to me to be a good wife. She appears to be a good family person. She's never been in trouble with the law before. If what you're saying is true, and I'd have to look more into that. If that is true, then it's horrible, and you shouldn't be practicing law if you're withholding evidence and that sort of behavior. I'm just unaware of it, so it's very difficult for me to comment on it if I'm unaware of it. I call out people on the left all the time. Eric Swalwell, perfect example of that. I can't stand Ilhan Omar. I can't stand Rashida Tlaib. I think they're bad people. I think Rashida Tlaib is an anti-Semitic piece of human scum. I think
he only hates those people because they're anti-Semitic. That's it. Because I'm a Jew. That's the only reason why he doesn't like those people. If they weren't anti-Semitic or whatever, Brian would have no problem with it. I would ask. I'd be like, who would you rather vote for president, Ilhan Omar or Donald Trump? And anytime he calls out someone on the left or a Democrat, I would just ask him to compare. Okay, who would you pick for president right now? Rashida Tlaib or Donald Trump? Bill Clinton or Donald Trump? Ilhan Omar or Donald Trump? I'm willing to bet every single time it's going to be whoever you list against Trump.
Nancy Pelosi probably committed insider trading. I don't like the Pelosi's, even though I defended Paul Pelosi when people were making jokes about him on the right, when he was almost with a hammer. I can easily call, we mentioned Anthony Weiner and other people, but I don't have a problem going after somebody if I think they do some horrible things, no matter what side of the aisle they're on. Even if that stuff is true about Kamala Harris, and I'll just for argument's sake say, okay, it's true. I still put Donald Trump at a higher level of corruption and a higher level of a lack of human decency. So that's my personal opinion there.
No matter what, it's just Donald Trump worse. I just hate Trump. And it's like, dude, how do you not have Trump derangement syndrome? How do you sit there? I don't even think he denies it. The only thing he says is, well, you have Trump fellatio syndrome. That's the only thing he says. I don't think he ever actually says, I don't have TDS. I think he knows he has TDS, but if he knows it, why the is he going on here spurging about Trump all the time if he knows he just has TDS?
I agree with you fundamentally when you say Donald Trump hasn't done anything morally corrupt when he's been in office.
I said most of your criticism that I heard from you. That's what I was trying to say.
Okay, fair enough.
And the other thing too is, and I don't mean to cut you off, but I also think that he's been more in the spotlight because he gets views and he gets ratings. So I think some of what he's done is sensationalized. I understand that there's a lot of accusations against him for and things of that nature. But, you could have someone else who's a billionaire and doesn't have any of those accusations. You say, okay, well, they have money. So what's the difference? The difference is this person is not promiscuous. This person was not in these particular parties. And when you're more promiscuous, I mean, there's no telling how many women
90% of those allegations, though, were before he ever got into public office.
And I completely and totally get that. But nothing ever came of them because I don't think there was enough to prosecute.
Well, let me ask you about that.
And I don't really want to. To me, this is a moot point.
No, I get that. But just quickly, in the history of the Epstein files and Jeffrey Epstein, there have only been 2 people that have been held accountable. A plethora of children were. And it's sex traffic. It's horrible. We know for sure here. Everybody would agree. There's more than 2 people that are responsible here. The only 2 people. I know there was an arrest in Great Britain. I get that, but the only 2 people have been held to any account at all: Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell.
Can I ask you something about that, though?
Yeah, sure.
So the Democrat Biden, Kamala Harris, clearly had these files. They knew what were in them.
Yeah.
So were they not also complacent?
Sure, I'll answer that.
Because I have not heard one Democrat who can answer that question.
I'm not a Democrat, but I'll still answer.
Okay, sorry, I didn't.
Brian's the worst. Why does he still insist that he's not a liberal Democrat? He might not be actually registered as a Democrat, but come on, dude, you're a Democrat. Let's be real here.
That's okay. No, you're good. You're good. The overwhelming majority in the Joe Biden administration, Maxwell was under investigation. Then we had a trial. Then we had an appeal. Now, with that being said, those documents were sealed. If a Democrat ever had the opportunity, to release the files, it could be Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, Bill Clinton, Barack Obama, and they didn't, then I would absolutely hold them equally responsible.
So you don't think they knew what was inside of them because they were sealed?
I don't know. I don't know the answer to that question. I know that if they are sealed,
I'm just telling you how things happen.
I don't know. I think there's a lot of powerful people out there in those files on the left and the right. And I think a lot of people were being protected.
That's what it is.
But I will say this: under Joe Biden, Maxwell, was charged.
But I'll say this: Donald Trump
charged, convicted.
I get that, but the reality is that if Kamala Harris really wanted to win the presidency and she knew about those files, she would have used that left and right. That would have been the only talking
Well, if
point.
there's any Democrat that had the opportunity to release them that he didn't, then I would hold them equally responsible.
Okay.
What I do know,
I appreciate that.
what I do know is that Donald Trump is the president right now, and he's done everything in his power for us not to talk about it.
And here's what I want to get at too.
No, he hasn't. He hasn't done everything. We've seen more from this administration than any other administration. What is he talking about? It's so weird when they say that. He's doing everything in his power. Oh, really? That's why we're seeing more of the files than before?
And I want to say that I blame the Democrats for Donald Trump. And the reason why
I think that's fair.
is,
to an extent, I think that's fair.
The worst candidates possible. Hillary Clinton.
I blame Joe Biden, though. I don't blame the
I'm
Democrat
talking
Party.
about Hillary Clinton, though. Hillary Clinton, you could have ran anyone else. You had Bernie Sanders. He would have mopped the floor with Trump. And the Democratic Party is so corrupt that, in my opinion, they said we would rather lose than actually take an outside candidate like Bernie Sanders. And this is what happens in American politics, is that I'm from West Texas, right? Like I grew up Cowboys, guns, all that stuff. You see the shirt. And the West Texas that I grew up in, if Donald Trump, a New York liberal, would have come down there running for president saying he was a Republican, they would have been like, get a rope. Like, we're not buying that. And so I've questioned this a lot. Like, what in the had to happen where Donald Trump was able to sell what I think is this political character? No, listen. But the reason what I think it is because they look to the left and they say, Jesus Christ, if that is the only option, I would much rather buy his, because in my opinion, that is the lesser of two evils than electing a president like Hillary Clinton, Biden, and Kamala Harris.
Well, I can tell you.
So, and I'll finish. This is what happens in American politics. I think that both parties run the absolute worst candidate so that the other side hates that side so much that they only hold their candidate to one thing, and it's that they're not the other person.
Well, let me just close by saying this.
There's a few things like there. So this guy he just seems like, again, he's not a fan of Trump either, but he blames the Democrats. Yeah, the Democrats do have horrible candidates. The thing is, Brian himself will agree that the Democrats don't have great candidates. He said he didn't vote for Hillary Clinton. He says he regrets not voting for Hillary Clinton, but he said he didn't vote for Hillary. He said he only voted for Joe Biden because of TDS. And he also voted for Kamala because of TDS. He didn't like Joe Biden, nor did he really like Kamala Harris, but he voted for them because I really hate Trump. So it's like, it's really I think it's really mostly a Democrat problem. And even coming up now, who in the Democrats do we really want? Do the Democrats really want to vote for? Like, they don't really like Newsom. They don't really like freaking Buttigieg or any of these other people. Maybe AOC, but people aren't going to vote for AOC. But there's no one good on that side at all.
Regardless of what your thoughts are on Kamala Harris, and we're going to get more into policy in a little.
By the way, thank you very much, Third, for the $4.99. How convenient he didn't hear about Kamala not letting people out of jail and withholding evidence, but he does this for a living. Yeah, I know, right? It's kind of weird. And that was a big thing, too, with Kamala. That wasn't like a obscure fact about her or obscure news. That's something that's one of the, all her detractors go to that stuff when talking about Kamala. Thank you very much, Third, for the $4.99. I appreciate it, brother.
But I can tell you this, regardless of your personal feelings or what you think Kamala is or isn't, I can guarantee you right now we would not be at a war in Iran. We would not be paying $5 or $6 a gallon for gas. Inflation would not have rose 0.6%. I believe the economy would be in a much better place now.
What's it called? Joe Biden did all these things. And when Joe Biden did all these things, all the Democrats are like, oh, Joe Biden, the president doesn't control the gas. They don't control the gas prices. What are you talking about? But now that Trump's president, all of a sudden can you believe how high gas prices are because of Trump?
If Kamala was president, I'm not saying she's perfect. I'm not saying she was a good candidate. I took a lot of shit last week as I put out a video and said, and I did say this, you could look at my X account. I said, if the Democrats' solution in 2028 is Kamala Harris, we are. I was called a racist. I was attacked by people on the left, not because I have this disdain for Kamala. I think there are better candidates out there. And I disagree with you a little bit on Hillary Clinton, even though I did not vote for her. Yeah. I disagree with you a little bit on Hillary Clinton. I do think she was overqualified for the position. I didn't vote for her more for personal reasons.
She was overqualified. I didn't vote for her because she was just too good. She would have done too good of a job as president. She would have been so amazing as president that I didn't vote for her. She was so overqualified. She was too good for the job that I didn't vote for her. How does that make any sense?
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I just want to say one thing is that I have researched Kamala Harris thoroughly. Okay. It's a very personal issue to me. I've spent 7 years in prison. I've been
Jesus Christ, another guy that I don't want to with here.
I've been through.
Imagine. Well, that's what we didn't want to tell you, Brian. Lock the doors. These are actually people that want to kick your ass. Imagine it's just all set up. Someone joked on X under the comments that was just like, oh, like, you know, plot twist. They all just jump Brian. Well, now I could see that now. Yeah, I'm starting to notice all these guys are really muscular and look like they could really kick my ass. What's going on here, guys? Yeah, well, lock the doors. Yeah, lock the doors. Lock all the doors. It's time for us, Brian. This is a long time coming. Thank you very much. Bottom down, Brian. Thank you very much, Mouth Breather, for the 20. Thank you very much, the big 20. I appreciate that. I'm too young to have seen it, but can we go back to when candidates agreed on the problems and just had different solutions and people paid enough attention to have 45 to 5 state election sweeps instead of who I hate less? Yeah, I agree with that. Thank you very much, Mouth Breather, for the 20.
What did you guys do to me here? Jeez, I'm kidding. Go ahead.
I've been through prosecutorial misconduct. All right. I've been through prosecutors lying and me having to give up years of my life because a DE agent and a prosecutor told lies.
So you've been through it.
I've been through it. So
our system is very broken. I agree with you.
And I'm telling you, so I'm not just going to sit there and criticize a candidate without doing due research. And I have done the due research and I have not just gone to like speculation about it. I've actually gone to the source documents in that one district court ruling where that judge in San Francisco eviscerated her. That is a fact, what she did. And if that evidence exists and you support her, and I'd
have to look at that.
Now, I just think that it's irresponsible that you didn't do that. And I think the reason why, because you seem like a reasonable person, you seem like a good person. I think
you're definitely wrong about that. I'm kidding.
I think the only reason why you didn't.
Well, there you go. At least Brian's been truthful about something. Ken, thank you very much for the Canadian too. I'm sure Brian would be very polite to Marte. Yeah, I agree with that. Thank you very much, Ken. Thank you very much, Quilava, for the $4.99. Every time he says Hillary was overqualified, but that he didn't vote for her, he's essentially saying that he voted for someone worse for the job. Yeah, exactly. It doesn't make any sense, that cope. That she was overqualified for the job. Well, then why didn't you vote for her then? If she was overqualified, doesn't make any sense. The heck? She was just too good for the job. Couldn't have that. Like, what? Thank you very much, Drewski, for the $1.99. Got nothing to say. Just wanted to show your support. Thank you very much, Drewski. I appreciate it.
Go deeper is exactly what I said. You hate Donald Trump so much where you're willing to say, you know what? I don't need to do any more research.
Even if, as I said, even if that stuff is true about Kamala Harris, I would have still voted for her because I think her policies are better. Or would have been better.
So, well, you said too. You said
that's not what he just said. That's not what he said, though. He said, I would have voted for Kamala because Trump, essentially, he said because Trump is worse. That's what he said. He didn't say anything about, I still think her policies are better. But even if that's true, even if he would have voted for Kamala because he feels her policy is better, well, then, okay, then how come we can't vote for Trump because we feel his policies are better? Okay. These people, like, notice all these libs, they like to go back and forth between the morality and the policy. Okay. If they're losing on the policies, then they go to morality. And then when they start going back to they start losing on the moralities, then they go back to the policy or the law. Like they flip flop to whenever it's convenient for them. So again, okay, if we feel Donald Trump policies are better, why is that wrong then? Why is that wrong, Brian? Okay, then that's it. Debate over. Debate over.
guarantee. I don't think you can guarantee. I think that it's speculation. I would just. You said if Kamala Harris was president, I
Yes.
can guarantee. And you said all these things.
Yeah, she wouldn't even have a
that's-
meeting with Benjamin Netanyahu. Israel wouldn't have coaxed her into war in Iran.
That's speculation. So then
Okay.
we're not really arguing about facts. We're arguing about
I'm just
opinion.
telling you, even if that stuff is true about Kamala,
Okay.
I find it interesting that Republicans didn't use it against her. Donald Trump didn't use it against her in a debate. I thought she defeated Donald Trump in a debate. I didn't see any ad campaigns.
Tulsi Gabbard used that to debate her. That's where Kamala Harris, Tulsi Gabbard wiped the floor with Kamala. She was eliminated during the first was it the primaries or whatever? She was eliminated right the very first debate they had. Tulsi Gabbard used it against her, annihilated her, decimated her.
Doesn't mean it's not true, though.
Okay, I'm not saying that, but all I'm saying is I find it interesting.
By the way, I'm pretty sure that Trump did use it.
I didn't hear Fox News, Newsmax, or OAN talking about any of this stuff when
it was brought up in the primaries against Biden.
Okay, that might be
it was brought
okay.
up.
That might be true,
Yeah.
but I'm saying how irresponsible for the Republicans if they want to win an
100%,
election.
yeah, I would agree with that.
And people like me maybe would have been a little bit aware of that if it is true. But I appreciate it.
Yeah, I just
Thank
want
you.
to say one thing.
Yeah, see, that's what I mean. Brian's like, you think I would have been more aware of that if it were true? Oh, did you not watch the freaking primaries, the Democrat primaries, where Tulsi Gabbard used that against Kamala? This isn't like a big secret, Brian. This guy didn't bring up some kind of unknown secret. That's pretty, like I said earlier, like all of the Kamala detractors, they always bring that up. Okay, because that's one of the things that Kamala was known for.
This is where I think the problem with the American.
That's funny. I just want to say one more thing. Yeah, sure, sir. Yeah, go right ahead. Talk as long as you want, sir. Please, just don't hurt me.
Republicans, if they want to win an
100%,
election,
yeah, I would agree with that.
And people like me maybe would have been a little bit aware of that if it is true. But I appreciate it.
Yeah, I just want to say one thing, and
yeah.
this is where I think the problem with the American political system is. Anna Arendt's one of my favorite philosophers, and she says those who choose the lesser of two evils forget that they still choose evil. And I think that we as Americans are in a position to where we are constantly forced to choose the lesser of two evil. And we think that's the right choice. And all of us need to remember that we are still choosing
to
evil
what you
with
are
our
saying right
candidates.
now. I don't think Hillary Clinton is evil. I never liked her. I did not vote for Hillary Clinton.
Okay.
And hold on, let me just finish.
Okay, and I'm going to tell you one story. It's going to blow your mind.
Chill out.
I'm going to tell you one
Somebody
story.
in the
It's gonna blow
crowd
your
just
minds.
said, I thought you
John,
weren't
please.
a Democrat. It's not what I think. I'm a registered independent who didn't vote for Hillary Clinton, and I didn't vote for Barack Obama. We just had the conversation. I'm for border security. I'm for capital punishment. So it's not even worth addressing. What I was trying to say is, to your point, I didn't vote for Hillary or Trump because I didn't like either candidate. Now, now Barack Obama and John McCain, I didn't vote for Obama or McCain. Why? Because I would have been okay with either of them winning, because I think John McCain was a decent man. I wasn't a fan of Sarah Palin. If I'm a big lefty liberal Democrat, like some people want to put me as or mark me as, I would have ran to the polls and voted for Obama. I would have ran to the polls and voted for Hillary. I vote for people that.
But you ran to the polls and you voted for Joe Biden. You ran to the polls and voted for Kamala Harris.
But I vote differently than a lot of other people. I put the human being first before policy.
See, so now he's back to the human being thing. Okay, so if all the Kamala Harris stuff is true, well, then wouldn't that make her an awful human being if a judge also called her morally bankrupt and a horrible person?
I think policy is very important. We can say
See what I mean? They flip-flop when it's convenient for them. So if they're losing on the morality thing, then they go to policy. If they start losing the policy thing, they go back to morality.
What we want about Hillary, it was an anti-Donald Trump vote. We can say what we want about Joe Biden. It was an anti-Donald Trump vote. And by the way, I don't think Joe Biden is a.
So are you a registered TDS sufferer? Is that what we should call you, Brian? Just as long as it's against Trump, then that's what you vote for?
Horrible human being. I think.
Crime Control Act of 1993.
We can say what we want about Hillary. It was an anti-Donald Trump vote. We can say what we want about Joe Biden. It was an anti-Donald Trump vote. And by the way, I don't think Joe Biden is a horrible human being.
Thank you very much, Eagle One, for becoming a new YouTube member, a new documented citizen to the Coolverse. Thank you very much, brother. I appreciate it. Welcome to the Coolverse.
I think
Crime Control Act of 1993. He's a disgusting individual.
So
and Hillary Clinton supported that too.
I don't think Joe Biden.
The other thing too is I'll tell you something about the Clintons. Roger Reeves has been on this show. Roger Reeves was Pablo Escobar's pilot, right? He is the one who brought Barry Seal to the Medellin cartel. He would land in Arkansas, and Barry Seal would literally tell him we have to pay $50,000 a load for the man upstairs. I have been to Louisiana with Barry Seal's son. I have heard these stories firsthand. They are disgusting people. Hillary Clinton was absolutely a part of all of that nonsense. Roger Reeves got a letter from a man that wrote him a letter on his deathbed and said, I was hired to kill you. And I'm not going to say who he said hired him to kill him, because I don't want to be responsible for any liability. But he's told me personally. And if someone is on their deathbed and sends you a letter to let you know that, I take that as highly credible.
Well, listen, here's what I'll say to end this.
The little boys on the railroad tracks.
Here's what I'll say to end this. Okay.
I'll just say it. Okay. Even if all that's true, Donald Trump is still bad. Okay. Orange Man's still bad. He's the worst. Okay. 34 count felon. All right. Don't forget that. I don't know why you're excusing that he's a 34 count felon, liable sexual abuser, named more times in the Epstein files than Jesus was in the Bible. You seem to be forgetting that. His ex-wife accused him of rape. He just starts TDS spurging out, just listing all the points.
Okay. And this resonates with me, and maybe this is one of the reasons why I think Joe Biden's. I think Joe Biden was an okay president, but I will say this about Joe Biden: it resonates with me when he talks about the loss of his first wife and his daughter. I do believe he's a man of empathy when he talks about.
No wonder Brian. Well, no wonder Brian likes Joe Biden so much. He falls for that stuff. Like, yeah, I lost my son. I lost my son. And I've had tragedy in my life. Life is short. Life is short, man. Come on. Everyone should just do what makes them happy, because life is short. And I want to extend an olive branch to Donald Trump, because I know he suffered loss in his life. His brother died, right? Right, Donald Trump? And your ex-wife died. Wow, this guy's really cooking. I got to remember that stuff. That really resonates with me.
Okay, president, but I will say this about Joe Biden. It resonates with me when he talks about the loss of his first wife.
Yeah, Brian is very emotional. So no wonder that resonates with him. It's all emotions. Listen, I had my son died, and it was very sad. Feel sorry for me. Oh, I do, Joe Biden. I do. Donald Trump's never had anyone die. So fuck him. Drewski, thank you very much for becoming a YouTube member, brother. Remember, with that membership, you get access to all the past live streams and access to some awesome custom emojis.
And his daughter. I do believe he's a man of empathy when he talks about his son, Beau Biden, who served the country. Even Hunter Biden, who I've actually had conversations with. And now he's helping other people when it comes to substance abuse. And I listened to the voicemails. I don't know how they became public. The voicemails he left his son. And I hear a father who cares about his son.
The worst dictators in the history of this world were still good fathers.
Well, I'm not going to say Joe Biden.
I don't think that's. I'm
not going to say Joe Biden's a dictator, but I appreciate it.
No, I'm just comparing it. That you're literally saying that because of these things, I think he was.
I'm telling you why he resonates with me. And
And by the way, again, see, this guy is good too. I like this guy because he kind of turned the whole argument around on Brian. He turned it all around on Brian. Like, these are the exact type of things that Brian would be telling his opponents right now. But he successfully turned it around, and now Brian is on the defensive. So this is good stuff. Kaiser Queen, thank you very much for the $5. I'm as old as Bryce Shap. When he says he didn't vote for Clinton, Bush, Obama, or Hillary, it means he only voted for the first time in 2020. You know what? Actually, that's my thinking too, Kaiser, because he never says who he voted for in 2016. The closest we heard to something was, like someone told him, "Oh, you're a Bernie bro then." And he was like, I would have supported Bernie. So that's the only thing we've gotten. So yeah, I agree. I don't think he voted until 2020. Thank you very much, Kaiser Queen, for the $5.
I don't think he's a guy that wants to openly harm people or wish people death or celebrate when people die. I
think they're all frauds.
All right. Well, you have the right to believe that. I appreciate it, brother.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much. My second prompt of today is why I believe
Trump is very bad for America. All of these are just Orange Man bad. Holy cow. We're only like an hour and 14 minutes into this, guys, but we're coming near to the end of the show. I'm going to have to call it a night, but that was very, very good stuff. Those last three debaters, I think, did an excellent job, to be honest. Like, those very good stuff from all three of those gentlemen. especially the last guy. He turned it around on Biden, not Biden, on Brian, put him on the defensive, and pretty much like it's all just about feelings with Brian. It's just all about feelings. It doesn't matter like what you bring up that this person's done or that person's done. All it matters is, well, Trump worse, Trump bad, Orange Man bad. And so this was good stuff. If you want to see the whole thing, I'll link it down in the description down below. This is from the Digital Social Hour by Sean Kelly. I might return to this actually. Like I might see the second or third prompt and review it on the show, but we'll see. We'll see if there's a continuation. There's a whole lot more Bryshap to review. There's the Andre Williamson debate or the Williams debate that I want to watch, and also the Raging Tomato panel. So leave a comment in the comment section below with your thoughts and subscribe to my channel if you enjoyed. Please subscribe. Let's get the subscriber number up. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, did you enjoy that video? I hope you did. If you did, make sure you like and subscribe, or else you're gay. I'm sorry, I don't make the rules. I'm just trying to save you from sin. Also, make sure you catch the Cool Stream live Mondays through Fridays right here on my YouTube channel, and make sure you follow me at any of these links down below for everything Cool Vic.